Down as a playoff game. Man. Are we live?
We are.
Are we doing this?
You know, you can't show up at 5 minutes of 6 with all this fucking energy.
Well, it's very quiet
there's
here.
There's been a precedent already set.
I was going to say it's very quiet in here. He's got his door closed when I walk in. It's like, I'm done with you guys.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Good morning, Tim. How the heck are you, Miller and Moulton, on this Tuesday? Thanks so much for being with us on the Florida Sports Network. Already a very interesting dynamic at work on the show, ladies and gentlemen. Feel as if we need to bring you in. First off, morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Good.
So I arrived late, and I mean, obviously not late because, I made it on the air, but, normally we all, get in 25 or so minutes before the show. And Felipe a little earlier, he's got stuff he's got to do with the network and all that. And, I got in 10 minutes ago. And normally there's some energy. There's some noise associated with this show. 9:45, 10:00. I walk in. Quiet.
It was nice.
Felipe's door even's closed. Usually he likes it open because we leave our door open. This studio's cold. We get as much cold air out as we can by 6:01, and we close the door. And Felipe has his door open, and he yells, to communicate with us. Just around the noise, he just, goes around the corner. He comes into the room. He had his door closed, not talking, didn't even say good morning to me. All right. You busy at work, head down, kind of grunted at me. I'm like, wow. The work week started. Everybody's already.
It's a Tuesday.
Everybody's already looking ahead to Friday.
Well, at least to Thursday. I feel like, I'm quiet. I feel like I'm a baseball game right now. Not a lot of action going on.
Baseball, and come on, this is my sport.
I know it is.
This is the baseball hour. I'm the pound the table for baseball. It's slow.
I watched 5-6 innings of baseball yesterday, and by the 5th or 6th inning, it was putting me asleep. And I'm not being flippant. I'm not trying to knock on the sport. I watched the last 2-3 innings of Tigers Red Sox, and then Blue Jays and Yankees are on.
Right? Come on, swinging the bats.
Right.
Runs galore.
Well, there weren't runs galore.
Right.
And they don't swing the bats.
They take a lot of pitches. They do.
And there's a lot of time in between pitches, even when the pitch is thrown right back to the pitcher. I started counting. When I'm counting the amount of time between pitches and I'm getting to 21, and this is right back to the mound, and
right.
He seemed to go to work, and it still took damn near half a minute to throw the ball for the guy to take the pitch and repeat the process over and over.
Right. No. Our attention spans get shorter and shorter, and other sports are better television sports because made the case many times. Football, the ball is in play as much in an NFL game as it is in a Major League Baseball game. It really is. But the replays are compelling in football. And there are different things that you can show. You can show an offense replay. You can show a defense replay. You could show a different angle of the same thing. What are you going to do in baseball when it's a pitch taken for a ball or a strike, or a ball's fouled off into play? It's like, I don't know. I guess we could show the one replay.
I mean, a big moment last night in the Yankees-Jays game was a Yankee player who took a called third strike that was not a strike. It was outside the plate. He was not very happy about it. He went to the bench, got the iPad, looked at the pitch, went over, taps the manager to show him that, show Boone there.
Right.
Hey,
6 inches outside.
See, look, this was outside.
Right.
Boone shakes his head, looks at him, shakes his head some more, yells something at the ump. I mean, that's what they gave us.
Right.
That was 2 minutes of an at-bat, of the next at-bat.
No, I know.
Because no one swings the damn bat.
Nope. We're all taking pitches. We're all trying to work counts. We're all trying to get pitch counts up, get them out of there, get to the bullpen. Yep. There's no doubt. And I don't see the game being played differently. I don't. And this goes back to really the team that started working the count and having great success doing it was the Yankee dynasty of the mid to late 90s. That was the veteran team that could just every at bat. They were so hard to get out. And that's when the games really started getting longer.
And I'm with you, David. I sat there last night watching, trying to envision a scenario in which teams would want to swing earlier. Well, why would you want to? I mean, we don't have a 6-pitch inning anymore. We don't have an 8-pitch inning. We're lucky to get a 6 or an 8-pitch at bat.
Well, it's not that bad. All right. It's not. It just seems that bad. It does.
It's 5, 6, 7 pitches every at bat.
It is. There's no doubt.
Nearly.
Yeah. And it's why it is harder to throw a complete game today.
Now, I will say there is one solution, one simple solution to this. Strike one.
Well, I think it was Greg Maddux who was asked one time what's the best pitch in baseball, and he said strike one. Doesn't matter what it is.
And, I get that people don't want to see players strike out. I don't either. But I think you might get more, all of a sudden at a 1 and 2 count, the guy's got to swing the bat. He's got to protect the plate. At least he's fouling some pitches off. At least there's some action going on there. But when they're ahead in the count, they are more and more likely not to swing.
I think the other thing that's hurting baseball right now is that think about the time of the year. Like, I think we'll be a little bit better with baseball next month. But we've had a lot of action here lately. The NCAA tournament, we were all in as a country for 3 weeks. Even the Masters. Golf cannot be the most entertaining product on television. But the Masters has its own aura to it. It has its own excitement to it. And they show more golf during the Masters than CBS normally shows. I mean, they do. First off, there's less commercials. But also, there's more golf. The Masters wants shots. CBS and NBC, but CBS at times shows a lot of walking, a lot of stalking, a lot of looking over of putts. All right. That's not how Augusta wants their tournament shown on television. Now, sometimes on Sunday, if it's a 2 or 3 horse race, it's tough to show a lot of golf. There was a while there on Sunday, kind of in the middle of the 4 or 5 hours of coverage, in which it's like, not a lot going on here. Scheffler's up by, 4 and not a whole lot happening. And thankfully for them, Rory started making a few shots and it's like, oh, we can show something. But so we've had a good month or so of television here where it's been excitement.
But to your point, the basketball playoffs are about to start where there will be action.
Right.
The hockey playoffs are a couple weeks away where there will be action.
Right.
And baseball will be taking pitches.
But by May, it'll be a little better. It really will. Also, the NFL draft will have come and gone. Mentally, to the sports fan, they'll be like, okay, it's baseball season. I got to settle in here. Not everyone's a hockey fan. In fact, most sports fans are not. Not everyone's an NBA fan. In fact, most sports fans are not. And baseball will settle in a little bit. Somehow I don't believe the USFL is going to take, just enrapture the nation so that we can't wait till Saturdays and Sundays to see football on Fox and NBC.
No, but I'm telling you, I'm getting close to where I can watch Premier League before I can watch a baseball game.
Well,
and I'm not trying to be a smart ass at all. The ball's moving. The game's moving. I know when it starts. I know when it's going to be over within 3 minutes.
Well, there's no doubt that America has taken more and more to soccer. And even though sometimes soccer has the pacing of a baseball game,
100%.
The ball is quote unquote in play, but it's not really going anywhere sometimes.
Sometimes, but the Premier League is a lot more offensive than most. They keep things moving forward, unlike when you get some World Cup games in the nature. But hey, we get a lot of scoring in baseball. Doesn't necessarily make it all exciting.
Because it can happen very quickly with a home run or, like last night, the Mets and Phillies had a scintillating game last night. The Phillies had 10 good minutes. They had 10 exciting minutes. Now it was enough to win the game. All right. But for 2.5 hours, they didn't do anything. And then they had 10 great minutes. They won, unless you stayed with it to the bottom of the eighth. It was not a very entertaining product.
So that was just you. We had our poll question. What are you watching yesterday in baseball? 40% of our audience said they're watching baseball. Last night I jumped in. They give you the package there for the first week. So I watched a couple of games.
I'm with you.
And
it was a bit of a hard watch last night. I found that same thing. And I am a baseball fan. I'm in. And I've had a hard time getting into the start of the season. And I don't know if psychologically, emotionally, I don't know if the lockout had anything to do with it. I don't know if it's because the spring training was a couple of weeks shorter than normal. So I don't know if I'm not as ready as I've been in the past. I don't know what it was, but it does feel a little different right now.
Well, and David, I know for a fact, last night I jumped in with no lockout in mind. I jumped in willingly. Let's go. Give me some baseball.
Right.
And I watched my team win first. And I'm like excited. Let's watch some Yankees Jays. Now they didn't deliver a lot with that. Not a lot of hitting in that game, but it was, boy.
Tell you what, though.
Paces.
How about that Baez homer, though?
Oh, it was spectacular.
And that's a high fastball, too. That was like armpit fastball. And Baez said, yeah, I don't care. I can catch up to these. And I like to swing. I will say that about him. Now, if everybody approached it at the plate like Javier Baez, baseball would be a lot more exciting. He likes to swing at pitches. You need to take more. You need to swing at your pitches. Baez like, I don't know what to tell you, man. I like to hit.
I like them all.
Right.
I like the low ones. I like the high ones.
Right.
I don't know what to tell you.
Right. I like the good ones. I like the bad ones. I like to hit. Miller and Moulton. A little of this, little of that going on last night. We got a little of this, little of that going on the show today. We will talk plenty of football. We want to kind of dive in. The draft's 2.5 weeks away, and there's 8 teams, 8 with 2 first-round draft picks. Never before has this been the case since the merger.
It won't be the case by the time we get to the draft, or at least when the draft is going on, because all hell is going to break loose on draft night.
Sure hope so. We doing our broadcast?
Damn right we are.
All right, get ready. 2 weeks from Thursday, we'll do our Twitch draft broadcast. Miller and Moulton. Thanks for waking up with us here on the Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. We've hit the divisional round of the NFL playoffs, and DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL, still has huge cash prizes up for grabs.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Little pet peeves of mine. So I was trying to find out which wrist that Drew Doughty had surgery on. Couldn't find out. I searched high and far. News stories. Everybody just reported. First off, he was out with an upper body injury. That's my favorite. Now that he's out for the year, all of these news operations, he's out with wrist surgery. Okay, which wrist? Nope. Nobody had it in a story. Canada, States, nothing. No. He had wrist surgery. No idea which one. By the way, do you consider wrist an upper body injury?
Yeah.
Okay.
Anything above the waist is upper body.
That so it qualifies? What if I put my arms down?
Mid body.
So my first alarm goes off this morning, and I immediately burst out of my bed and just get to the studio as soon as possible,
Right.
only so that I could take a 35-minute nap in the parking lot. That's exactly what I did.
Huh.
And
Wow.
it was a good choice.
It's a healthy nap.
Yeah.
That's a good one, though.
Got leather seats, reclined my chair back, blasted the air.
Car running.
Mhm.
One of those naps.
Yep. Put my phone right on the steering wheel.
So a rest area nap is right.
Rest. Exactly. Exactly. And yeah. My body's still calibrating though, so just need a second.
A lot of energy over there, Felipe.
I know.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Top of the morning to you. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. Starting 5 in a little more than 15 minutes. We'll head to Detroit at the top of the hour. The Lions will be the first team with multiple first-round picks that we do a little bit of a deep dive into. Can I throw a couple things out at you here?
Sure.
So I'm looking at the end of the season NBA stats. You know, we got the playoffs coming up here, and, you know, you and I have both been a little critical of the product. You know, we were just kind of banging on the baseball product. Well, we both are like, man, they're just, sometimes they just shoot a few too many threes for our liking in the NBA. Is that a fair conclusion?
It's, well, when they're not hitting, it can be an ugly product when they just keep chucking.
Well, they shot threes at a slightly worse rate this year than they did last year. Last year was tied for the all-time best three-point shooting percentage in league history at just under 37%. 36.7% of threes were made last year. Ironically, there's been two other times in NBA history here in the last, 30 years in which they've hit 36.7% of threes. The other time was in the 96 season. But this year they hit threes at a little over 35%. But they shot mark the most threes ever in the history of the league. Would you care to guess the average number of threes that each team shoots in a game?
18.
Double it.
Whoa.
Each team shoots on average of 35, little over 35 threes a game. So if you think about it, you'll see an average NBA game, you will see 70 threes attempted. Obviously, 48 minutes, that's basically, you'll see 1.5 threes for every minute of action. And you figure in every minute of action, you'll see about 4 possessions. Average possession, 15 seconds. So you'll see each team will shoot it twice, or in theory, potentially shoot it twice per minute. Well, 1.5, you'll see 1.5 threes. So, it's, I don't want to say it's half the shots, but it's like 40% of the shots. There's a good chance, a healthy chance that, they're going to come down and shoot a three. They're hitting 35% of them, though, which is why they keep shooting them, because it's simple math. If you hit a third of your threes, that's equal to hitting 50% of your twos. Well, you start shooting better than 33% of your threes, Now you'd have to shoot 52, 53, 54% just to equal. So that's why you have more and more threes. By the way, the average NBA player from a size standpoint has basically been the same, Mark, for 30 years. In fact, the average NBA player is 6'6", 215. If you go back to the mid-90s, the average NBA player was 6'7", 212.
Since that's the average, I'm just wondering if the league has closed the gap, because seems as there's not as many 6'1" guys out there, if you know what I mean.
Right.
And a lot more 6'6", 6'7", 6'8" guys.
Mark, you have to go back 60 years the last time that the average player in the NBA was shorter than 6'6". So in terms of the height of players from beginning to end of roster, they're the same. They've added in 50 years, Mark, they've added 10 pounds.
You had a hell of a night last night. And I thought watching baseball was riveting. You were doing height and weights of NBA players over the last 60 years.
I will say the average NBA player has gotten smaller in the last 5 years. They're an inch and about 8 pounds less. So the game is getting less physical. More threes. Everything that we know, there's actually data to support it. But 70 threes a game is your average game. I will be curious. I would guess in the playoffs the number will go down.
How much? 70 to 60?
Yes. For those that say, defense, free throw shooting, that sort of deal. By the way, NBA players shoot free throws at better than 77% on average. And it's been pretty consistent for a long time.
The league average is 77?
The league average is 77.5%.
That's gone up.
Last year, it was 77.8%. Year before that, 77.3%. All right. I will say it has gone up a little bit in the last 7-8 years. The league was around 75 to 76% in the middle of last decade. So free throw shooting's actually gone up a little bit.
So what are you going to do tonight? I'm going to look at NBA stats.
Well,
I've been really wondering about free throw percentage in the NBA. What about you? I've been wondering about heights and weights.
Hey, there's no doubt. It's wild at my house. Don't kid yourself. Do not kid yourself.
Who's your MVP?
I could care less about all that. I really could. And I know it's a big debate in NBA circles. I could care less. I could. In fact, here's my thoughts on the MVP. If you're focused on the MVP, you're focused on the wrong thing. And Giannis even said it. Giannis is like, I don't care. I know I've won it twice, and it's easy to say. He goes, it's all about winning. It's all about the playoffs. It's all about winning. What good is it to win an MVP and lose in the playoffs? He goes, trust me, I've done it. He goes, it doesn't feel good. I don't care. I don't care if Jokic wins it again. Don't care if Embiid wins it. Don't care if Giannis wins it 11 times. Could care less. Could care less. I don't think most fans, now you do, obviously, because you've brought it up a lot on and off air, more off air, thankfully. All right. But do fans care about awards anymore?
No.
In any sport?
No.
And we used to.
We did.
We used to debate
We
it.
don't care about baseball MVPs. We don't care about Heisman's. Heisman's the only one we even give a little bit of care to. That's the most important award, and that ranks, as far as what sports fans care about, 75th on their list.
Well, I think what people are is that they're fascinated with how close the race is this year.
No. Actually, they're not.
Well, NBA fan is. No. You are. NBA fan is. And that, once again, that's a small number. And not just in terms of our audience, but even nationally. It's it's much smaller than you think, because the national media is obsessed with the NBA. The ratings tell you they are obsessing about something that most people don't care about. But it's a city game. It's a major market game. And you've got Turner and ESPN that are totally in bed with it. And that's why you hear nothing but NBA talk.
And I mean, to say that the two of the three of us, just small sample size, but you care. Two of the three of us it doesn't matter. And I think if you extended that, just look at our poll question yesterday, Felipe. You ended up finishing in third. Hell of a job. 1 in 5 will be watching NBA more than any other sport. 1 in 5. It's a little less than that, but
2 and 5 was baseball, right?
correct. And hockey's a little over 1 in 4.
And NASCAR finished last?
Yes.
All right. Good voter turnout, though.
Very Chicago-esque. Best one we've had in a while.
Well, I mean, I think Felipe is responsible for part of that. Went back to the apartment, had his roommates and friends vote. That's why NBA finished third, not fourth. Miller and Moulton. Starting 5 is next. Thanks for being with us, Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
They may flame out. They may lose in the first round, but I'd be terrified to play them.
I think it would be funny if the Cavs got them tonight.
God, it'd be great.
The only reason I don't, though, is I want the Hawks to get the 8.
Well, it would be better for the NBA is rooting for Brooklyn and
the
Atlanta.
Hawks. Because I'll watch the Heat series, and I'd rather watch Trae Young than
Sure.
I'll watch tonight.
I will say 7:00 start.
Oh, if they did this throughout the whole playoffs and gave me 7 and 9:30, even 7:30 and 10, but 7 and 9:30, I could consider watching half of this late game.
Right.
And I don't think we're that different anymore than most of America. I really don't.
No, I'll agree. You know how you said you learned stuff when you left the Blades? When I got out of news, because I never worked for a Fox, so I
Right.
never did a 10 o'clock.
Right.
And then you get into the real world and you realize, Jesus, 11's late.
Late.
And then I used to come on at 11:25.
What was it? We were at Barb and Lewis, my buddy's sister-in-law. Barb was just told a story. She's at the doctor, and it's like they had some procedure, something to do with like, hey, you can't eat after 10:15 at night. Is that going to be a problem? And Barb's like, it's not going to be a problem. The covers are up to my neck, and I'm dreaming by 10:15. What are you out of your mind?
Julie
The
sent
problem would have been if you told me I had to eat after 10:15 at night.
wife sent me the good night text last night at 8:08.
Fifth inning, I was fall asleep. Yankees, Blue Jays. I'm on the couch doing this, going to bed.
Canada relief, for as much as I know you want Matthews to win the Hart. If Matthews wins the Hart and you get bounced in the first round by Tampa Bay, I mean, that's the problem. If you're a Leafs fan, you need to win some playoff series here, man. It's time. And it ain't going to be easy. It ain't going to be easy.
I like when Toronto loses in the first round of the playoffs.
But, I mean, come on. How many times can you have that? I mean, at some point, don't you
I'm
want them to lose in the
52.
second round of the
I'm
playoffs?
52. I'm good for the next 20 years.
Wow.
I don't like the Leafs.
Obviously. Is this a whole getting out of the Norris?
Also, them being in the playoffs is a nuisance to every other team in the league.
Well, not in hockey because everybody's vaccinated in that sport for the most part.
Really?
Yeah. Their rates are pretty high.
It was cool to see Semesco and Nikki sitting next to one another at the little table. They had it little round tables, so 3 or 4 people were sitting together. You know, you had whether it was players or a player with their family usually.
Gotcha.
And then, you know, kind of 5 rows back, there was a little table of 3, and it was Carl, it was Nikki, and some other coach on the right of Carl. And so I go, well, that had to be an enjoyable night, actually, to do it that way.
Yeah.
Borshevsky. I feel like Bill Murray. Borshevsky, he owes me money. It may be entertaining to only me.
I love that Artist Gilmore.
I just don't get the reference.
Answers random texts about Artist Gilmore.
He showed a picture of Hubie Brown coaching him this morning, too.
But I love this is someone else tweeting out a picture of Artist, and he's like, my necklace matched my uniform. We were stylish in the AVA.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes before the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. Dave Birkett covers the Lions for the Free Press in Detroit. He will join us at the top of the hour as we begin to dive into the draft, which is 16 days away. 16 days away. Must admit, I can't wait. Because of the 8 teams having multiple first-round picks. Think about it. Team drafting second, the Lions. They have 2. Team drafting third, Houston. They have 2. Team drafting fourth, the Jets have 2. And their 2 are in the top 10. Team drafting fifth, the Giants have 2. And their 2 are in the top 7. I mean, teams drafting 2, 3, 4, and 5 all have multiple first-round picks, which, if this were a slightly sexier quarterback draft, it would be nuts. Nuts at the top of the first round. I mean, the Lions probably would have, stayed
Stayed put and taken a quarterback.
Right. Jacksonville might have auctioned off the
Right.
number one pick of the draft because they got theirs last year.
Detroit might have had to give up their other pick just to move up
Right.
one spot to get the guy they wanted.
Right. Houston would have been an interesting. We would have found out, just how much they believe in the young kid they drafted in the third round out of Stanford, Davis Mills, or whether or not they'd go, well, you're nice, but, we're going to treat you like Jacksonville treated Gardner Minshew. You're a nice placeholder. Now we're going to go get the real thing. But you figure the Jets would have been a prime candidate to trade out at 4. The Giants probably move on from Daniel Jones and probably draft the guy at 5 or trade up even.
But instead, it's one of the weaker quarterback drafts of recent memory. So, well, that's a bit of a pipe dream for all
Right.
the movement you're talking about.
Right. A lot of offensive and defensive linemen in the top 10.
Right. Really sexy.
But me, I love to put a GM hat on. This is it for me. I'm not a big fantasy football player, and I'm never going to work in a front office before. This is as close as I get, Mark. Make believe.
I will say, as much fun as we have with our draft show, because of the way you analyze a draft, we do it differently than any show that's out there. One, we're drinking throughout the show. But two,
we do the Diana Taurasi Sue Bird.
Yeah, we were doing that way before they were doing it. But David's big on how a pick impacts what other teams are thinking and where they want to go and what moves they should be making and what if they should be trading. That's how we approach the draft. It's very differently than here's the best player available. Are they going to take him?
Because we find that to be the more interesting part of the draft.
Right.
Is whether or not you're going to move. And I do think that the league keeps coming around to our way of thinking. There's obviously a lot more trades being made now. And I think with the 8 teams having multiple first-round picks, is New Orleans going to package their 2 and move up and take the first quarterback in the draft?
Which they didn't the last time they had 2 picks. They actually got 2 starters. They got last time they had 2 first-round picks. I think they got a tackle and Lattimore. Worked out pretty well for him.
Right. So the draft in 16 days, and we'll begin our previews at the top of the hour. Right now it is time for
The Starting 5. 5 stories you need to know. It's the Starting 5 on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
Well, Mark, we'll start with a little football news. Ohio State has said that they will honor Dwayne Haskins at their spring game coming up this Saturday. They also said that they will honor him later on in the season. It is a reminder it was just 4 short years ago, but he had an epic 50-touchdown season for the Buckeyes in 2018, and that's after he came off the bench and led them with an impressive performance to win over Michigan earlier in his career. I don't know what to make of the XFL and the NFL continuing seemingly every month to send out a statement saying that we are partnering in small ways. But yesterday they both released a press release saying that they're partnering XFL with the NFL Alumni Academy. Now, the XFL doesn't even start till next year, Mark.
Right.
It was supposed to start last year, but now it's not starting till next year. But this is right after the Super Bowl. The NFL and the XFL announced that they were going to collaborate to experiment with new rules, new equipment, train officials, maybe test out some safety. It is interesting. Fox and NBC, with Fox owning the USFL, 2 of their partners are in on the USFL, and the NFL wants nothing to do with the USFL and is partnering with The Rock and the XFL, which right now is just fighting just to be able to get a logo out, because the logo they released apparently is in violation, or so someone claims, of, their logo. I do find this interesting.
I'll find it interesting a year from now as we get closer to the possibility of the XFL playing a game, because spring football intrigues me, but I continually see all the mistakes that they make.
Right.
The USFL, by playing in Birmingham, is eliminating a huge mistake. Travel costs. I mean, there is more there to what the USFL's model is than any other model that's been out there for spring football.
I'm trying not to get excited about the USFL because I've been so disappointed in the past with spring football. But there's somebody who's fairly prominent in the technical part of television, audio, video, who said, wait until you see the stuff that we are going to do in the USFL. Really? So remember, I mean, the NFL will just take it.
Right.
Remember,
Well, it's Fox and NBC doing these games.
right. And Fox is a technical leader in the industry. I mean, going all the way back 30 years to when they put the score bug up in the top left corner and were mocked for it. And now, if the score bug's not on the screen, you get mocked.
We
for
all lose our mind.
it. Right. How did we ever watch a game without knowing the time and score? Major League Baseball last night, there were 12 games, although the Pirates-Cardinals afternoon affair was postponed. Well, the Rays aren't going 162-0. A's scored 4 in the first, 4 in the second. Beat Tampa Bay at the Trop 13-2. Marlins, they did get 2 homers from Jesus Sanchez. The problem was they were solo shots, and the Angels scored early and often in a 6-2 win. Yankees held to just 4 hits at home. The Blue Jays are 3-1. Toronto won 3-0. Red Sox are 1-3. Tigers with a 3-1 win. Javi Baez with a bomb, his first for Detroit. The Orioles are not going to go 0-162.
No, they are not. They might go undefeated at home, David.
Well, let's take it easy. Brewers off to a 1-3 start. Baltimore shut them out 2-0. And once again, the Browns beat the Chiefs, albeit the Guardians over the Royals 10-7. It's back-to-back games for Cleveland in which they scored in double figures.
Right.
That's an offensively challenged team, to say the least. May not bode well for the Royals pitching, at least not their third and fourth starters. Philly scored 5 in the 8th. The Rally beat the Mets 5-4. The Nats may be for sale, which is interesting. Mets went for $2.4 billion. How much would the Nats go for? Washington beat Atlanta 11-2. Mark Lerner, who's operating the franchise, who had previously said we would never sell, has apparently picked up the phone and called the company and said, hey, find out how much you think we could get if we put it on the market. And he picked up the phone and called the manager and said, hey, don't want you to be alarmed, but we might sell the team. Oh, okay, good to know. Is that the equivalent of rent, don't buy?
I guess. But not for the manager, for everybody, you got to get a little higher up on the rent don't buy list, don't you?
Well, but, once they start replacing, it does trickle down. Twins shut out the Mariners 4-0. Break up the Rockies. They're 3-1. They beat Texas 6-4-10. And a fascinating situation in San Francisco yesterday. Twins, and not Minnesota. Twins, Taylor Rogers and Tyler Rogers. Taylor Rogers got the save for the Padres in a game that Tyler Rogers took the loss in. But the Twins each brought out the lineup card to home plate, posed for a picture with the umpires. Tyler Rogers, who took the loss, left immediately after the game because apparently his first child's about to be born. But imagine that. Twin brothers, both making it to the majors, both pitchers.
Thank goodness that we don't have a DH, that we have DH universally now, so they didn't have to throw at one another.
But how cool must that have been for Taylor and Tyler Rogers?
What would have been really cool if they'd have switched uniforms in between innings and pitched for the other team.
Hey, this isn't the Savannah Bananas, all right? We're taking this seriously. Padres 4-2 over the Giants. San Diego off to a good start. WNBA draft had a lot of Florida connections to it. Kirsten Bell from FGCU was taken in the first round by Las Vegas. What's interesting there is that she's the two-time winner of the Becky Hammon Mid-Major Player of the Year award. The new head coach in Las Vegas,
Becky Hammond.
so she will play for the award winner. Destiny Henderson from Fort Myers went mid-second round to Indiana. Jazz Bond from North Florida went late third round to Dallas. And the last pick of the draft, they only go 3 rounds, 12 players per round. Last pick of the draft was Kiara Smith from the Gators. So 4 Florida connections in the WNBA draft. If you're not a first rounder, the odds are you don't make the team. There are not a lot of roster spots. I think there's only 12 and 12 teams. And so for all that we mentioned, it'll even be tough for Destiny Henderson to make Indiana, although I think she will. Men's basketball, the Gators got some good news. Colin Castleton will return for his 5th year. The 6'11 forward averaged 16 points, 9 rebounds a game last year. 1 game in the NHL. Winnipeg doubled up Montreal 4-2. Malkin suspended 4 games for the Penguins. There's only like 9 left in the season for a cross-check to the face over the weekend. And the Kings lose defenseman Drew Doughty for the rest of the year due to a wrist injury. No one will tell which wrist it is. Unbelievable. Kings barely holding on to a playoff spot over Vegas by 2 points, and Vegas has a game in hand. Frank Vogel fired. Alvin Gentry told he will not be retained in Sacramento. He was the interim coach. So the Kings and the Lakers both looking for new coaches. Play-in games tonight, the 7-8 play-in games. Nets an 8.5-point favorite over the Cavs in Brooklyn. Brooklyn went 3-1 against the Cavs this year. And the Timberwolves are a 3-point home favorite over the Clippers. Clippers won 3 of the 5 regular season meetings, but they only played once after mid-November. And Minnesota won that game in early January. These teams have not seen one another in over 100 days. And Luka Doncic, strained left calf, his status for the Dallas-Utah series is still up in the air. And that, gentleman, was...
That was the Starting 5 every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
I will say, big hockey night tonight, Mark. Tampa Bay's at Dallas, both teams desperately needing points for playoff positioning. St. Louis is at Boston. They played in the finals against one another just 3 years ago. Panthers are hosting Anaheim. And Carolina at the Rangers. A regulation win for the Rangers, and they'll be tied for first.
What's ironic is that's the only divisional game of the 4 you mentioned. A lot of crossover games this late in the season, which shows you that 3-week hiatus is still getting worked out of teams playing, because you're at the point of the year where you would think teams would be playing conference games primarily at this point.
Miller and Moulton. Pat Kirwan in a little more than an hour. On the other side, Dave Birkett covers the Lions for the Free Press. He will be joining us. Detroit with the 2nd and 32nd picks in the first round. Thanks for waking up with us on this Tuesday morning. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program.
The Training Grove, with a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, the Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with the Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove, with a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals. The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with the Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Can you find out when you call him, is it Birkett or Birkett? Because it's Birkett.
My guess is Birkett, but I'll ask.
Okay, so how about we go with that? It's Birkett unless you tell us differently.
Yeah.
All right, so when you get him on the phone, and just say, so if you give me a thumbs up, it's Birkett.
Thumbs down.
If thumbs down, it's Birkett.
I'm guessing it's Birkett just because I'm thinking like Philip Dorsett.
Okay.
Jacoby Brissett.
You buying the Flames goaltending, and you really buying Goudreau there in the playoffs? Tough when your best player is a little guy. He's never had a good playoff. Doing all right over there? Seem out of it. Tell you what, you got big crazy hair today. You got
Bad hair day.
yeah, we're doing you a favor not having a camera on you today.
It's honestly part of the reason why I just wing it most times because I'm like, I'm not on camera, honestly. But
That's why.
I just thought it was being 21.
well, yeah. Also, just living.
just living.
Because you see how much David and I care about being on a Twitch.
Oh,
camera
you
in front
guys
of
always have your hair done nicely.
Well, we
'Cause
shower.
we shower.
It's because we shower.
Yes, sometimes I
Do you ever shower before you come in?
I shower before I go to bed.
I'll say this, and you may want to change because it wakes you up.
It does,
right?
wake
And
you up.
you have trouble doing this shift. And if you were, first off, you can go to bed sooner. All right.
That's what's being difficult for me at the moment.
No doubt. It was the biggest adjustment for me. So Birkett is thumbs up. Yeah, I was always a wake up in the morning and shower guy. I know some people are shower, go to bed guys. I was always a wake up and shower guy. Come on, Robes. All right. You still got the stuff on the sides, right?
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. Pat Kirwan to join us 1 hour from now to talk plenty of football. Jake Fischer will join us in an hour and a half. NBA playoffs, in a sense, get underway tonight with the play-in games. Dave Birkett covers the Lions for the Free Press out of Detroit. You can follow Dave on Twitter at Dave Birkett, Birkett. Dave, it's David and Mark. Thanks for doing this, particularly at this hour. Good morning. How are you?
You got it. I'm doing good. How are you?
We are fine. So, all right, picks 2 and 32. As best you can tell, 16 days out. What are they thinking?
Well, I mean, look, a lot of it depends, obviously, on what the actual flavors get won. I think if Aiden Hutchinson was there, the Michigan pass rusher, I think the Lions would jump at the chance to take him at number 2. He just, beyond being one of the best players in the draft, he seems like a culture fit here in Detroit. Someone who sort of embodies what Dan Campbell wants to be. The problem, of course, is that Hutchinson could go number 1, and I don't really have a sense of what the Lions would do if he's gone. I mean, I think they prefer a pass rusher. I'm not sure Kayvon Thibodeau is the right fit for them. So I look, Trayvon Walker is a guy who's got a lot of buzz. Jermaine Johnson is someone who I think could be in the mix at 2, even though everyone else seems to think that's too high. And outside of that, I just don't know that any of those offensive linemen or Kyle Hamilton or some of the other people that have been mentioned are a good fit.
Well, obviously, when you're picking second, and this is a normal spot for Detroit in the top 10 of the draft, there are a lot of needs. But is there any talk of quarterback at all?
Yeah, I mean, you can't rule it out, right? I mean, they coaching the Senior Bowl, they were up close and personal with Malik Willis. I know they came away impressed by what he was able to do there. He's obviously got a big arm. He's a great athlete. I think if there's a quarterback that you're going to gamble on, it's going to be Malik Willis just because of the upside there. But the problem is twofold. He's so far away from reaching his ceiling. It's a pretty big gamble at 2. And Dan Campbell last week, we did a little beat writer session with him, and one of the first things I asked him was, what do you need to get out of the number 2 pick? And he said, they want a day 1 starter, someone who can come in and contribute right away and really help them this fall. And that wouldn't seem to be a quarterback with Jared Goff still here. So you can't rule it out. But I just signs right now are not pointing to that being the way that they'll go.
He's Dave Birkett. He covers the Lions for the Free Press out of Detroit. You can follow him on Twitter at Dave Birkett, Birkett. I saw the Lions last year up close and personal. I didn't think they looked all that bad. I mean, I didn't think they looked like a team picking second. The defense seemed solid. It seemed like they could use an edge rusher, but the defense seemed solid. I just didn't see a ton of weapons on offense for any quarterback, never mind for Goff. I mean, Dave, I don't want to say how close are the Lions because they're picking second, but I mean, how close are they to being decent?
Well, I think you saw what a lot of people saw, and it maybe wasn't in the talent that they have on the roster, but just the way that they responded to Dan Campbell after, sort of, I don't know, things not going quite as well and maybe not being as fully bought in previous years. And so I think there was a lot to like about what the Lions did last year, despite the record. And they got progressively better as the season went on, and they still weren't, great by the end of the year. But, Jared Goff won 3 of his final 6 starts, and so there were maybe some things to build on. The problem is, and why I think they will go defense heavy is, they don't have a lot of playmakers on that side of the ball. And, really they're trying to build something sustainable and young over there. And I think if they spend 2 or 3 of those first, picks, 2, 32 and 34, they can maybe add some of that. And then offensively, you mentioned it. Look, they don't have a lot of playmakers there either, but they do have a good offensive line. And the one thing that they tried to do this offseason was, they went out to get a downfield threat, someone who can play that X receiver position to sort of give Goff or really whoever is the quarterback going forward, the weapons, I guess, that he needs to at least have some success in the NFL. So they feel like they have a more complete receiving core. They have a good offensive line. They've got, a couple capable running backs. And so that should allow them to get the most out of the offense, I guess.
How patient will Spielman and Lions upper management be with Dan Campbell? Because it's one thing to buy in, but 3-13's a whole nother story. I mean, there, as you said, there's improvement. There's little things that you've seen, but at some point when the Cincinnati Bengals are going from double-digit losses to the Super Bowl, and we seem to see that every year, how patient will Lions management be?
Yeah, I don't think anyone was expecting miracles, this past season. So, what went down, stripping it down to the sort of, bare bones and trying to build this thing from the ground, that's what everyone expected. They do need to take a step forward this year. I don't think, Dan Campbell or anyone else will be in any jeopardy regardless of what happens, this season. But, you want to see progress. And I think with the schedule they have, the Jets, the Giants, the Panthers, as bad as the NFC North is, there are games that the Lions should win or should be more competitive in. So this is maybe not a contend for a playoff year or a spot where you're, playing into January. But, I think ultimately the thought is that you take a step forward this year, and then in year 3, you're really ready to, compete and do some things.
Dave, the thought from those of us from afar is that Goff is just an expensive placeholder and that the quarterback of the future is not on the roster. If that is accurate, is there any thought in the organization of maybe bringing in Baker Mayfield? And I understand he only has 1 year left on a contract, but at least if you get the Browns to pay most of the salary, which it looks like they're going to have to unload him, to get him in and take a look at him. And, worst case scenario, he's a really good backup quarterback and you let him go in a year, but maybe just kicking the tires and seeing, hey, could he be the guy?
Yeah, at first I think a lot of people around here believe exactly what you said about Goff, that, he is sort of a bridge quarterback, right? And they need to really find the guy that's, has the capability of being a star at that position if they're going to get where they want to go. And so I don't know that, if you gave the Lions true serum that they would dispute that, but I don't know that Baker Mayfield is much different than Jared Goff in that regard. And look, Goff is the quarterback right now, just the way his contract is. That's what it's going to be about. I don't think the Lions want to take on, much, if any, more money at that position. There's certainly the tie with John Dorsey in the Lions front office. He drafted Baker in Cleveland. So I get why that link has been made a lot, but ultimately for the Lions to take that next step forward, and really be that perennial contender and get out of the Green Bay Packers shadow and maybe, contend for Super Bowls eventually. It's not going to be, I don't think, at least with a quarterback like Jared Goff or Baker Mayfield, it's going to have to be with, someone that they find in the draft, someone that has star caliber potential.
5 picks in the first 97. The draft is successful if?
Well, I guess I would say is there at 2, since that's really what they want. But beyond that, if they get 3 starters out of the draft, that should really help, push this program forward, I think. And you could really do it at a bunch of different positions. I mean, defensively, just about every level, they need a starter. They need a pass rusher. They need some more speed at the linebacker spot. Who knows exactly what they have at the cornerback spot because of the injuries they've had. They need another starter. So there are really a number of ways that they could go defensively, and even throw a receiver in the mix. They're in need of a long-term solution there. So I think if they get 3 starters out of those first 5 picks, I think they'll be on their way to having some success here in the not too distant future.
You think there's any chance they get aggressive and call Jacksonville and say, hey, we'll give you one of our 3rd rounders just to move up a spot? I mean, hell, the Jags may laugh and go, well, we're not taking Hutchinson. We can get a 3rd rounder out of this. I mean, if he's the guy that really they would be like, listen, whatever we do, we're happy. Well, any chance of going to get him?
Yeah, it's such a weird draft this year, in that I think Hutchinson is far and away the best fit for the Lions, just because he's got a pretty high floor. His ceiling isn't maybe worth that though, or in talking to people about Aiden Hutchinson, I don't get the sense that a lot of people see him as like a Myles Garrett type pass rusher who's going to come in and put up 15 sacks and be a dominant guy on the edge. And so if that's the case, I don't know if you shortchange yourself, long term by giving up, say, a 3rd round pick or whatever the cost would be to move up, as much as you feel that he might be the best fit for you. So I know the Lions like guys like Jermaine Johnson from Florida State, and obviously Kayvon Thibodeau's a pretty good talent himself, and who knows, maybe it is a Malik Willis that they have their eye on. But I think ultimately, if I'm the Lions, I think you stay put at 2, and the ideal situation may be to trade down and acquire another pick yourself and still come up with a player that you like a Johnson that you could get outside of the first couple picks.
Well, Dave, thanks for agreeing to do this, particularly at this hour, and good luck in the next 3 weeks covering the Lions in the draft.
That's our Super Bowl here in Detroit, so appreciate it, and talk to you guys soon.
Dave Birkett covers the Lions for the Free Press out of Detroit. Follow him on Twitter, Dave Birkett, Birkett. It's our Super Bowl.
What do you think of Hutchinson? Do you think he's worthy of? I think
No.
I don't think he's going to be a great NFL player.
I think he'll be a good NFL player.
Is this Jake Long?
Ooh, who the Dolphins took at 1.
Well, that's I know it's
Instead
the
of
other
Matt
side of the
Ryan,
ball, but
yeah,
really nice player, but
yeah.
not necessarily a number 1. And I know the Lions are picking 2, but
there's nothing wrong with getting a good player. Nothing wrong with getting a guy you can plug in for 8 to 10 years and play defensive end, and be an 8 sack a game guy, in which eventually at some point you go and you get another defensive end who's better, and he's your second best defensive end. There's nothing wrong with that. You're the Lions. You need about 30 more good players.
probably 22, but I get your point.
Miller and Moulton. Pat Kirwan with lots of NFL talk coming up at the top of next hour. Got to come up with a poll question.
Thinking the same darn thing, David.
Well, it's going to be a lively commercial break on the Miller and Moulton Twitch channel. Thanks for listening.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library, and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, the Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with the Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
All right. Poll question. What do you got for a poll question over there, Sleepy? He comes back with who's the NBA MVP.
What quarterback will be taken first? What quarterback will be taken first? I feel like that should be saved for closer to draft day, though.
I don't think there's much. Well, I don't think there's much interest right now, unfortunately, on these guys.
Yeah. It's really hard to think of
Did you
something.
see the
that's not
Phillies
the
third
NBA.
baseman, Alec Boehm, had a rough night. He committed 3 errors. And after the second or third error, he's like walking the ball to the pitcher's mound, and the camera's on him. And he said, "I fucking hate this place," because he was getting booed.
Yeah,
I saw that.
Oh.
had to apologize for it.
But he didn't deny that he said it. JB Vike, which comes first, Alliance Super Bowl of the coming of Christ.
It is Easter week.
Lions Super Bowl close.
It is Easter week.
Oh,
Peeps. jelly beans.
You want to do a referendum on Peeps? Because I hate Peeps.
I hate them. But people that like Peeps love Peeps. I think they're gross. No, I was just going best Easter candy. Jelly beans, Peeps, Cadbury eggs.
The chocolate bunny.
The hollow chocolate bunny.
Yeah.
Which is such a disappointment when you think you got a solid chocolate bunny,
Yeah.
and then you bite that ear.
Yeah. Yeah. And it crumbles. I don't think we can put Peeps up there because most people don't like them.
Well, that's why you put them on there so they finish. Someone's got to finish last.
Okay.
So do you ever listen to Lithium or
Yes.
Tom Morello, the Rage Against the Guitarists, has that One Man Revolution show that they put on a lot of the channels, and he has his mom in there a lot. Who's he's our age, so mom's old, and he did his Easter Passover show and was playing this Woody Guthrie songs and the Jesus Christ Woody Guthrie songs, something. Basically, Woody Guthrie got into the Communist Manifesto in the Old Testament. Notice they were very similar.
Wow.
Right.
15 seconds.
Wow.
Right.
Thanks for listening. And now, more of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
"21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. Pat Kirwan at the top of the hour. So did we come up with a poll question?
Well, I have an idea. And then you've got to be able to figure out what the selections are. Because it is Easter week.
Yes. It's a biggie. I mean, I'm a Catholic. It's one of my 2-3 times I go to church.
It is a biggie.
Right.
Whole big week, as a matter of fact.
It really is.
In fact, it's so big, David, that they give it the whole week.
Yes. Mm-hmm. I'm aware.
But really, on Sunday, it breaks down to what's in the basket from the bunny. What's the best Easter candy? And I'm going to get into a lot of heat if we do this, because now every normal candy company has jumped in the Easter game. You know, Reese's is full in on the Easter game. And I don't consider a Reese's egg necessarily an Easter candy. I'm thinking the traditional Easter candies. The most horrible of all candy, the Peep.
Oh,
my wife loves them.
Really?
Loves them.
Oh my goodness. That's like the first person over 30 that I know that likes Peeps. I mean, I like, my Peeps.
Oh,
but
we know.
But Peeps are awful.
I agree.
Does your soon-to-be 8-year-old like them even?
I don't even know the answer to that. The answer is probably yes, because they're full of sugar.
I know, but they're awful.
Now, jelly beans. That to me is a traditional, like Peeps, jelly beans, the Cadbury egg.
We could have a jelly bean question, black because I don't like black jelly beans. Don't like black licorice, don't like black jelly beans.
I love them all.
My father and his mother both loved the black licorice and the black jelly beans.
I like the black licorice, the black jelly, the red licorice, the red jelly bean. Give me a jelly bean. I prefer the Jelly Belly, the smaller one. I'm a little snobbier when it comes to that.
I need color with my licorice and with my jelly bean. I need colors.
And then you got the good old-fashioned solid, or the good old-fashioned chocolate bunny, which then you have two kinds. Somebody gives you the good bunny, solid.
Right.
You break that ear off, it's a whole piece of ear.
That's just the creme de la creme. That's the big Snickers when you're trick-or-treating.
But most of the time you get that chocolate egg. You break open the ear and it's hollow.
And it crumbles.
Falls
actually.
all apart.
Right. You take one bite and the thing falls apart on you.
And then you're ended up eating more of it than you really planned to.
Well,
You don't want to leave a mess.
Well, and half it's in your hand. I mean, right. It's broken up. So of course you eat it. And you have to eat it right then and there. It's not like you can put it aside.
So I was thinking Easter candy today. That's where my brain is right now.
All right. That works. I'm fine with that. So we're going 3 or 4 choices. I know you're putting Peeps in there because,
Someone's got to lose. It's like the NBA to a poll question, David. Something's got to lose.
Oh, come on now.
Hey, until he wakes up over there, I'll take
He's
as many.
having a tough time. He's falling asleep on us this morning.
This is something.
Man, we're having to discuss during the commercial breaks. Listen, you can't shower and go to bed and then wake up in the morning. If you're going to do a morning shift, you have to shower in the morning. It wakes you up. He's having a hard time over there.
I'd have to go to sleep earlier, which I haven't been able to do.
there you go. That was my biggest adjustment, working nights my whole life. That was my biggest adjustment. I used to go to bed 1, 2 in the morning. It's tough to do a morning show when you're.
It really is.
When you see it past midnight, it's tough to get up at 4.
The NBA finals are tough.
No doubt. It's another reason why I've grown past one shining moment. It's after midnight. I can't go there anymore. Robes in Fargo in a Twitch chat room. He's a black and white jelly bean guy. My mother's parents used to have a jelly bean jar. It was almost always just the black and white jelly beans.
Huh.
And I used to say to Grandma, what do you, and she'd look at me like, you don't live here. These are for us. Don't know what to tell you.
Very chic. Going with the, doing the whole black and white party before it was even in vogue there.
It wasn't a see-through jar. Okay. It was very nice. It was almost like something you would get as part of your wedding set.
And Fam here makes the point I was trying to say. Reese's eggs are the best, but I feel like it's cheating because it's just a Reese's, which you can get all year, but it's in the shape of an egg.
Correct.
The Cadbury egg is really only around during Easter, and I'm totally with you, Fam.
So if you're going to go make that.
Well, the Cadbury egg's on the list.
Okay. So Peeps.
Jelly beans, Peeps, and I'm searching for a fourth, and maybe just the chocolate bunny.
Yeah, chocolate bunny. And then in parentheses, put hollow.
The hollow chocolate bunny.
Hollow chocolate bunny. Which still, by the way, is milk chocolate. I mean, it's good. It's just not the Rolls Royce of Easter candy, which is the thick Easter bunny. I mean, my goodness. Seemingly eat that for days.
Right, like I'm sure you can go to Norman Love and they've got some sort of $85 chocolate bunny, but that does not mean that that's a typical Easter candy.
No, we're talking about now, are you talking about, the basket and it's wrapped in the plastic?
Yeah, with the fake grass.
Right.
Yes.
Here you go.
Yeah.
$9.99.
Bunch of jelly beans in there. You got to dig them all out of the bottom. You're pulling that fake grass just so you can have 2 more green jelly beans.
You're hoping that 30 of them have, fell to the bottom because there seems to be more grass than jelly bean.
And you're at one point looking at your mother like, really? That's all that's in here?
You couldn't just go to Walgreens and just get a bag of jelly beans and then go here. I need a toy. Come on now. This is about the candy.
So I'm going with what is the best traditional Easter candy. Peeps, jelly beans, the Cadbury egg, which I think will win going away, and the hollow chocolate Easter bunny.
Yinzer in our Twitch chat room commented he always hated the white chocolate bunny. Yeah, I was not a big fan. Rarely got it, though. There was not a lot of candy growing up. My mom did not have a lot of candy in the house.
My daughter's not a chocolate person.
What?
She does not like chocolate.
Did you take her to the doctor? I mean, is everything okay?
She likes white chocolate. She will eat chocolate things like Oreos she likes, but A candy bar, no dice. Skittles, anything like that, all in.
That's interesting.
Darn right it is, and it works out really well for my wife and I. Anytime someone gets her chocolate, it's more for us. Don't even bother to tell anybody. She doesn't really like chocolate. That's okay. Should be a good Easter for me.
It seemingly, it always is.
Hopefully the Easter bunnies figured this out by now.
That's our poll question. It'll be up here momentarily. That Mark Miller, the David Moulton, FL Sports Network on Twitter, and then it'll end up on floridasportsnetwork.com. Best, although it's all relative. Favorite? Is that what you're going with? Favorite
What is
Easter
the best
candy?
traditional Easter candy?
Traditional. An interesting word.
Well, because again, I'm trying to let people, I don't want all these texts coming. Well, the Reese's egg. I just explained why it's ineligible.
Right. You can get those.
It's on
No.
probation. It's like Kentucky.
I thought it's the egg that's gone up a level, that our question's all FCS. Okay. And the Reese's Easter egg is FBS.
You may be right there in football terms. You actually may be right. The Reese's has broken off and started its own league.
Exactly. Same with the cups.
Yes.
Once again, right. That's the Reese's League. They're going to be on Fox and NBC this weekend. Miller and Moulton. Thanks so much for being with us here on the Florida Sports Network.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Let's go Dabo here. Let's go Dabo here.
Yeah.
I think the minis are too much chocolate. I prefer more. Is that peanut butter?
Come back.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the top of the hour. Pat Kirwan will join us at that time to talk all things NFL. We'll look into the NBA playoffs a bit. We've got 2 play-in games tonight. The 7-8 play-in games, for those not familiar, top 6 teams in the NBA's Eastern and Western Conference, they're in, locked and loaded, seeds 1 through 6. The NBA last year went to this play-in format to try to determine who's the 7, who's the 8. So 7 and 8 from the regular season play one another tonight in both the East and the West. The winner enters the playoffs as the 7 seed. You got Brooklyn and Cleveland in the East. Winner's the 7. Loser gets a second crack, second bite of the apple. The loser then hosts the winner of tomorrow night's 9-10 game. In the East, that's Atlanta and Charlotte. Out West, it's New Orleans and San Antonio. The 7-8 game in the Western Conference tonight is the Clippers in Minnesota to face the T-Wolves. Mark, how many times have the T-Wolves been favored in a so-called playoff game?
Never?
No.
The T-Wolves have made the playoffs?
Once, I think, in the last 17 years.
Wow.
But Garnett took him to the conference final in 03, though. But,
I know I was being a little facetious.
no. But I think they've only made the playoffs like once since. I mean, Thibodeau a few years ago when he brought in Butler and everybody
Right.
was so
And
happy.
everybody
with that.
hated everybody,
Right.
and they couldn't get rid of him fast enough.
Right.
And
Butler left town and they fired Thibodeau.
Right.
Right. But I think it's like the only time they've made the playoffs in a long time. So anyway, so that's what's going on in the NBA. We'll talk about it in an hour.
wanted to talk a little college football, though, because Dabo Swinney made some comments last week, some of which I think I think he's on to something. Others have some people a little bothered, but Dabo's never afraid of the microphone.
No.
And
he sat down with ESPN's Chris Lowe to just talk about college football, life and the pursuit of happiness. One of those interviews.
Right. And, well, was asked about every single part of college football. Transfer portal, NIL, where the sport's going. And Dabo really does not like NIL.
No. Would do away with it altogether.
Quickly.
And that rubs some people the wrong way because he's making close to $10 million a year. And he is like, yeah. And so it comes off as he doesn't want the kids to get anything. But he's perfectly fine with him making $10 million, which he consistently doubles and triples down on. Every time he's asked, he's like, hey, don't know what to tell you.
He said, I don't set the pay scale. I can't apologize for being successful. I didn't get into this business to make money, but I'm not going to apologize for my success.
The exact quote is, he was asked about, well, do you understand when people say, well, coaches like Dabo and Nick Saban are making in the 10 million range, why shouldn't the athletes be able to profit? And he goes, well, Nick's 70, I'm 52. None of us set markets on what we do. We live in a capitalist society. The head of Delta probably makes a lot more than the people who are checking your baggage in, but those people are as vital as anybody. None of us set markets on what we do. It's a free market we live in anything. It's just that our jobs are so visible and so public. I can tell you this, none of us got into coaching to make money, but I don't apologize for being successful. And then when he was asked if he felt he and his fellow head coaches are overpaid, he goes, actually, Nick's probably underpaid. And he goes, not just the football program. I'd say he's had a pretty big impact on Tuscaloosa. He's probably underpaid, to be honest with you. And as somebody who goes to Tuscaloosa 3-4 times a year and has for Nick's entire tenure there, he's right. He is. That city and that campus, the transformation that has taken place in the last 15 years is, I don't know if it's seismic, but it's a half a step away.
Now, the one part that you and I have talked about a lot, that Dabo's on our side with, is that he sees a point in which the Power 5 teams get their ball and do their own thing.
Well, he said two things that caught my attention. One was, and he just happened to bring up Middle Tennessee State. He goes, we're having to play by certain rules, and so is Middle Tennessee State. He goes, come on, you can't put the two of us in the same. I mean, we're at two different places, two totally different budgets, and yet we're all supposed to live in the same universe together. He goes, I don't know if that's going to be able to continue. Which is a very valid point. You and I have said it for damn near a decade. We really thought that there is a next break that's going to happen. The second part that he said, Mark, and I don't know if he's thought this out or he just threw these numbers out there. He said, I really think there's going to be a break of about 40 to 50 teams. Well, like I said, don't know if he's thought this out, but let's just take him at the fact that he has a little bit. We got about 65 to 70 Power 5 schools right now.
Right. But we all know that there's a handful of Power 5 schools that have no chance to ever win at any high level.
Well, I mean, you hate to say it this way, but schools need wins. I mean, for all the folks that go, well, we should kick Vandy out and, you could get rid of, Purdue or whatever. You got to play somebody, and there needs to be wins on the schedule. Never mind the fact that every school has its day, but, there's a reason why conferences are what they are. We just did a couple segments ago talking about the Lions. Hey, Lions haven't done a whole lot of winning for a long time. NFC North needs wins. Got to have games, got to have wins.
Yeah, it's not really how that league's modeled. That just happens to be a coincidence of what's going on in that league, David.
But when he said 40 to 50 schools, can I take this just a little further?
Sure.
Like I said, I don't know if Dabo has thought this out, but to me, when I heard 40 to 50, I thought, are some of the Power 5 leagues no longer going to be Power 5 leagues? Because, Mark, if the SEC, like the Big Ten right now has an alliance with the ACC and the Pac-12. If Greg Sankey could ever convince the Big Ten to align with him, they could break away from the rest of the sport. They really could. Like I would say to Dabo, be careful. The conference you're in could be left behind. Now, you may not get left behind. The SEC, if he were to just grab the new commissioner of the Big Ten and say, can we talk about this? Let's go really big picture. We got about 65 schools right now. We only need about 40 of them. What do you say? I'll go grab 4 to 6. You go grab 4 to 6, and we go and do our own thing here. And if you're the SEC, who's going to get to 16 here with Oklahoma and Texas, who do you want to grab?
Well, we all know. It's Miami, it's Florida State, it's Clemson.
And maybe do you grab the Tar Heels and you call it a day? And you go, North Carolina would never do it. Well, if it's
leave or be left behind.
And basically become sub-level. And it's not what you think of yourself. It's just that you're left out of the market. You're now being told you're AAA. And the Big Ten could turn around and,
because the Big Ten, and sorry, David, but the Big Ten and the SEC, I don't believe, and I don't think you do either, would leave the Vanderbilts and the Rutgers and Northwesterns behind. They just wouldn't do it.
Well, they have conference bylaws, and there's nothing that any of their schools are doing which comes remotely close to being kicked out of the league. The league does have rules. That's why I don't think these leagues will eat their own. Which is, you can see fans go, well, just get rid of the bottom rung. That's not how it works.
It doesn't work that way.
And remember,
and there are regional rivalries, and they need wins. They need games. They need scheduling. So this was always my fear for UCF's done so many wonderful things, David, and I've mocked them, and I know I've given them a hard time over the years, but now they're getting their opportunity to the Big 12.
Right.
When I read this, you wonder if that opportunity is just a moment in time before they're left behind again.
And so that's why I don't know if he just threw that out there or whether or not he's actually thought it through and there's only room for because we've always thought that there's 125 to 130 Division I football programs. We've always thought cut it in half is going to happen. That the Power 5, so to speak, is going to break away. And obviously when we say Power 5, it's Power 5 in Notre Dame. And they're going to break away. And they're going to leave the Sun Belt and Conference USA and the MAC and the Mountain West and the AAC, and they're going to leave them behind. And they're going to go do their own thing. That's what we've always foreseen.
And by the way, he also says 40 to 50 teams and a commissioner. And here are the rules. That is the one problem that college football has right now, is that there are all of these different people running it. There is no uniformity, and no one's done anything in regards to setting up how NIL should be run.
And the reason why I say the SEC and the Big Ten is the SEC is now locked in their long-term big money big money deal, and it's all with ESPN/ABC, and it's going to kick in 2 years. Well, for as big as the SEC money is, you wait to see the Big Ten deal that comes down the pike later this year. I mean, it's going to be $750 million.
Well, Fox would feel as if they can't lose it.
And then
CBS has now entered the game without a network. If they want to get back into college football, where the hell are they going to go?
And you got NBC who wants more than Notre Dame, and you've got ABC, ESPN who's trying to hold on to the other half of the Big Ten.
Not to mention if Amazon, after jumping into Thursday Night Football, says, you know what we need is college football as well.
And so financially, in the next 6 to 8 months, the SEC and the Big Ten are going to be stratospheres ahead of the other 3 Power 5 conferences.
And when's that ACC deal up for renewal? 2035?
Yeah. I think actually it's 2034, but you know the point.
Missed it by a year.
And what's the motivation for ESPN, ABC to open up that deal? I mean, they've looked at the ACC and said, now you get Notre Dame to play football in your league, we'll open this sucker back up. And Notre Dame has said, no, we're good. We're fine.
We're fine with our 4 games, helps our scheduling out, and we still get our check from NBC, which will cash.
And so that's interesting. Dabo saying what he's saying and the economic reality that's about to hit the surface in the next 6 months. Now, the Pac-12 and the Big 12, who have media rights deals coming up here in the next couple of years, they're hoping that those that are left out are going to write them big checks.
And with Dabo saying this is just Dabo. He talks a lot. He's kind of on his own island right now. But I'm telling you, I think if this interviewer starts talking to other college coaches and just simply says, what do you think about Dabo's idea of the teams breaking off? I think you'd be amazed at how much support that would get throughout the big boys in college football.
So Dabo, who, hey, we love him because there's not a microphone that he says no to, and he's willing to speak his mind, and he's at the point, and he's come to it at a young age, in which he says, yeah, I don't care anymore. And quite frankly, he shouldn't. He runs Clemson. He's 52 years old. He's making $10 million a year minimum. I mean, why should he care?
Your thoughts? Text the show. FSN Radio is the keyword. 21,000 is the number. Text FSN Radio to 21,000 if you have not done so. And let us know what you think about Dabo's comments of a potential break-off of 40 or 50 teams.
Our poll question, at that Mark Miller, at the David Moulton, FL Sports Network, all on Twitter, floridasportsnetwork.com.
What is the best traditional Easter candy? Jelly beans, Cadbury eggs, Peeps, the hollow chocolate bunny. David, in shocking revelation, Peeps yet to get a vote.
That's the best thing I've seen all day.
We did get this texter who said, I'm 31 and I love Peeps.
Oh, my goodness. Shocking. Pat Kirwan, not nearly as shocking. We'll see how he votes. Talking NFL next. David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. And use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today. Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. And use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
DC, we've talked about this. So you get left behind in the next college football split. Bama calls you up, offers you $1.5 million for a game. You're not going to play them? Do you know what your TV contract's going to look like if this split were to happen? It's going to suck. Well, maybe DC, but right now they're offering $1.5 million to the little sisters of the poor teams to come in and take their whooping.
Savannah Bananas hitter hit a line single with a flaming bat. Like the bat was legit on fire.
Yeah. Did you see it? It's cool. He walked. Now, I will say by the time he got to the plate and he's ready, the flame had extinguished. But as he was walking from the dugout and he got to the batter's box, the bat was on fire.
I mean, he's at the plate and the end of the bat's still on fire.
But I think when he swung and he hit, I didn't see flames.
Just on the top.
Oh, on the very top?
Yeah.
I will say it was cool, him walking to
dragging the bat, and the whole thing's on fire. But he's
Yeah,
swinging.
yeah.
The end of it's on fire.
Oh, that's great. But yeah, when he's walking, it's like, damn, that thing's on fire.
That bat is on fire. Hey, Sleepy.
Man,
Better than being called dopey.
man, you are a mess today.
You're awful.
Unbelievable. Peeps is
Look at you.
And Peeps is 2 votes right now.
What's up, Pat?
I'm barely alive, Pat. How are you? It's Tuesday, too. I mean, to be in that rough a shape on a Tuesday morning.
Watch both playing games
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network. Thanks so much for being with us. Make sure you answer our poll question. What's the best traditional Easter candy? Jelly beans, the Cadbury egg, Peeps, or the hollow chocolate bunny? Remember, traditional Easter candy, not the stuff that's thrown in there that you can get year-round.
The Reese's egg is not a traditional Easter candy. I'm sorry. It's
Right.
delicious.
Yes.
We're not denying how much we love it.
But that's why we went with the 4 that we went with. Go to Twitter, that Mark Miller, the David Moulton, FL Sports Network, or go to floridasportsnetwork.com and vote. And it's these hard-hitting questions that helped lure Pat Kirwan to the show many years ago. He of Moving the Chains, weekday afternoons on NFL Radio. Pat joining us once again, courtesy of Pinchers from Tampa to Key West and many points in between. Pinchers, because you can't fake fresh. You a big Easter candy guy?
But it's around the house, so I try to keep myself away from it. But if it comes right down to it, I'll have a few jelly beans.
That's what I would have guessed. I could see Pat, dipping his hand in the bowl every once in a while and then going, I didn't really need these.
No, but I do like to sort through them and avoid the black ones.
There you go.
And isn't that what this time of year is about, Pat, is sorting through the jelly beans that are the NFL draft to find that gem in day 2 and day 3. This is what teams, how much are everybody's boards set right now?
They're not set, really. They're closed. There's a lot of debates going on about guys, and now you have these visits. So with the 30 visits, think about that. That's 960 visits, and everyone will use all 30 of them. Once in a while, you might have a cancellation or something. But I was saying the other day that one of the things we did with our visits was, and I would have done a lot more of it if I stayed in the league, but we get down to this debate. Should we draft Miller or should we draft both? And one year we said, why don't we bring both guys in at the same time? And let's try to have a kind of competition, if you will. And they didn't realize what we're doing. And they were sitting in front of me, sitting in front of the head coach, sit with the trainer, and it cleared it up for us on who to take. So to your answer, Mark, the board wasn't set. We thought we knew. And when those 2 guys left, we had a real clear picture of which one we'd take, and that advanced his name up the board and dropped the other guy down enough that we wouldn't take him if we got to that point. So that's one thing that goes on. The other thing is, they're coming in, and sometimes for psychological, sometimes for our own personal medical recheck, and that's all still going on. So you're still sorting stuff out. And I remember a week before the draft having to fly to Texas A&M, actually, to give a guy a Wonderlic test because we didn't have it, and someone thought it was important, which I didn't. But when I came back, I gave them the results, and then they decided we can't draft this guy.
All right, not to be confrontational, but I was talking to someone last week about this. What is it in an interview? I mean, I'm a football player. What is it in an interview that you are looking for to make you more likely to draft Moulton over Miller? And I'm being serious about this because, there's a lot of stories, reportedly the Niners took Alex Smith because, he opened the car door for somebody, and Alex, just that was the kind of the guy that we wanted in our organization over Aaron Rodgers. I mean, Pat, honestly, in a face-to-face 30 minutes, what could Miller say to get you to draft him over Moulton?
Well, you should be very careful of using a 30-minute interview to make a final decision. Some guys are real smart. Now, it depends on how you interview and what you're looking for. Bill Belichick was looking for personal responsibility. Maybe that's the best way to describe it. It was on his mind all the time. So when you walked into a Bill Belichick interview, basically he turned the lights out. I talked about this on the show before and put the film on right where you aren't playing very well. And, hey, you want to talk about this? What are you doing here? Blah, blah, blah. So he'd be waiting for your answers. Hey, I was hurt. Yeah, I was playing with whatever it was. Or, as I remember so vividly, a guy going, well, coach, they didn't play me in the right scheme. And you can see from this that I'm a one-gap penetrator, and they got me two-gapping. And the lights went on pretty quickly, and it was over. So he was looking for, are you coachable? Do you understand your role? Are you humble? Can you accept coaching? So Bill was very good, in my opinion, at finding that out about guys. Bill Cowher, he was looking to see, do I want to coach this guy? Does he fit? Bill had in his mind a complete idea of what it meant to be a Steeler in the locker room, on the practice field, and at a game. And he was trying to find out as fast as he could, will this guy be a Steeler? And he would look for values in guys. I thought he cut down guys pretty quickly that he didn't think would be Steelers. And I think he did a very good job of finding Steelers, because the one thing about that group, they all seem to have a common interest in physicality. And he thought he could ascertain that information in an interview. Took Miller over Moulton.
Is there enough upside to you and Hutchinson to take him first overall?
Well, here's my question. I like your poll question today, and I answered it. But here's one I've been probing with my listeners, and we're going to try to make it a little contest. Is there one absolute guaranteed number one draft pick? Now, we knew when Trevor Lawrence came out, 99% of the world said he's the number one pick. I believe there's really a true number one guy. And that would answer your question about Hutchinson. All you got to do is put on the Georgia game, as many of my callers pointed out yesterday. And we had a Michigan fan who said, look, I was born with that helmet painted on my head, but I couldn't take Hutch at the first pick. And I'm not so sure he won't go. He's a fine player. But I think there's the question to you guys and to me. Is it a true number one player in this draft? I had a draft with not a true number one. And it's really hard to move out of the spot.
Well, we just got done talking to a beat reporter for the Lions, in which they really want Hutchinson.
No, he's a beat reporter.
No, I understand, but not that he wants Hutchinson, but that talking to Dan Campbell and the Lions, that they would really love for Hutchinson to be there at 2. And just, fits the culture of what they want. They think he'd be a really good player, et cetera.
I understand that. I accept that, and I think that's a good idea. And I think it was interesting yesterday that there was enough Lion fans that didn't have that vibe, that go to a lot of Michigan games. But I'm not talking him down. I think he's fine. If they take him, if he ever falls to 2, fine. So the question to you guys is, if you were at 2 and you called Jacksonville and said, we want number 1, we'll give you pick 32 for that, you think they should do that?
Well, if I was Jacksonville, I would, Mark.
If I were Jacksonville, I would take it. If the Lions do it, they're nuts. They're a 3-13-1 football team. To go up one spot to get one player when you need at least a dozen is asinine, and it's just more of the same old Lions to me, Pat, if they do that.
Yeah, well, the politics of Hutchinson, the image that he'll be the face of the organization immediately. Your quarterback there is not the face of the organization. He's got his own issues trying to hold on to his job, which I think he will. I can see why they do it. We swapped out with a team for one spot, and because they wanted to. They were afraid we were going to take their guy. But when you need 12 things, is pick 32 the end of the world? They go again at pick 34. If you think Hutchinson's the face of your organization, I don't know. I'll go back to David on this one. I already know your opinion, Mark, but would you give 32 to just making sure you get Hutchinson?
Well, no, because I don't think he's a Myles Garrett type of defensive end. But what I would call Jacksonville and offer him is, I've got 2 third-round picks. I'd offer him a third to find out. And I know they would go, no, but I'd say, okay, well, you just think about it, because deep down, I think the Jags may look at themselves and go, well, we ain't taking Hutchinson, so we can move down one spot and take the guy that we were going to take at 1, and we get a third rounder out of the deal. That's what I would dangle if I was Detroit.
Yeah, and I would turn it down. And if I'm Jacksonville, and I would say, no, you've got 32 and you have 34. If you want the face of your organization, give me one of those 2 picks. This is my comeback only second offer. I'll take 34, but I'm not doing that. So if you believe, but you already answered my first question. You do not believe there's a true number 1 player in this draft.
Absolutely not. It's why if I'm Jacksonville, I would take the third-round pick at the end of the deal. I know you would say no today. We're 16 days out. All right, but on Thursday, the 8th, somebody in the room is going to go, guys, we're move down one spot, get a third rounder, and take the guy we were going to take at 1.
We're taking Neal either way. I can add another player to the mix. And Pat, this has always been where David and I are on the same side. It's that, yeah, the board says I have to get this, but isn't something better than nothing? And isn't that the question GMs have to ask themselves at the end of the day when it's in regards to a trade that might undervalue what the board says?
As you said, it's 16 days to go. So now that I know we're at a deadlock and you're not seeing it my way and I'm not seeing it your way, I'm going to call the guys at number 3. Maybe I'll call the guys at number 4. Someone want to come to 1 for Hutchinson. I'm going to not accept your third-round offer until I find out it's the only offer I have. I might find someone that would give me a second to move up to number 1. So that's where I would go for the next 15 days. If I got no response to that, then I might come back to you. But that's what you're forcing me to do, is shop the deal to someone else.
He's Pat Kirwan. Weekday afternoons, you can listen to him on NFL radio. It's Moving the Chains, and he does it with Jim Miller. He joins us twice a week. He'll join us Thursday of this week because we will be off on Friday, and Pat joins us courtesy of Pinchers from Tampa to Key West and many points in between. Pinchers, because you can't fake fresh. When we come back, we will ask Pat, we've got 8 teams with multiple first-round picks, and a few of them have their picks in the mid-teens. If they package them, how high does he think they could get, just in case one of them is looking to take a quarterback?
You have a question for Pat? Text it in. Keywords FSN Radio. Text it to 21,000. You want to get your questions for Pat Kirwan. One more segment coming up with Pat on the other side. Miller and Moulton right here on the Florida Sports Network. Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free
14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Hey, Pat.
Yes.
How well do you know BA?
Pretty good.
All right. I'm going to call you after the show. I have a favor to ask.
Right.
Not that if it can be done, it's really easy. But I was just
Right.
I was at your I was in Palm Beach over the weekend at my buddy's place. Different world over there, isn't it?
It is a different world. I care not to be there a lot, but it's pretty and all that. It just reminds me too much of New York.
I'll tell you how right you are.
I
Pat.
came here for a reason.
Yeah, Pat, you know how right you are. So we went to church Sunday morning at St. Edward's there, right by the breakers. Palm Sunday in Mass is, to tell you that you're not on this coast, Mass is about 60% full. Here you have to get here a half hour early on Palm Sunday because they're giving away something for free.
Oh, there's no doubt. Masses over here are somewhat inspirational for those who partake because they're mobbed all the time.
Yep, you're right.
I love bringing people to the 3:00 Mass on Saturday here at Our Lady of Light because I don't say anything and just drive over and they're in, there's a 3:00 Mass. I said, yeah, it's kind of like a Florida thing. They get here and there's no seats.
Yep.
Standing room only.
Yep, we've got Easter this week. Then I got my daughter's first communion next week.
Yeah, my son Sean and his kids coming Saturday. They're all going to the hockey game Saturday night. They're like crazy about it.
How'd the tournament go?
Lost in the finals. They played extremely well up in Minnesota there. They the first game they played the Minneapolis kind of all-stars from the city. They beat them 7-0. And they beat the Vermont all-stars, whatever they call those guys. They beat them 8-0. Then they lost to the Minnesota Blades, which apparently has not lost a game in 2 years. Then they beat the Chicago Windy City or something, 6-2. And then they had to play that Minnesota team again, and I think they lost in the final. Well, I know what they lost. They lost 8-5 in the finals to a team that hasn't lost in 2 years. So I think they kind of felt good.
Yeah.
They're going to all meet him again in Austin, Texas in June. So let me think of the guy's name. I landed up having lunch with Ryan Brindley and his buddy that he played with at the Everblades, whose name is hanging on a banner.
Reggie Berg.
Reggie Berg.
Is there another guy?
Ernie Hartlieb.
Describe Reggie. Is he short?
Reggie's short.
Small.
Reggie's
Yeah.
5'9",
5'9".
5'10".
Yeah, he's the guy. So we had lunch together. We talked about you, Mark, because you had gone out with them a bunch of times after games for drinks and stuff. But what a great guy. He was
Reggie's
really
a great guy.
interested in football. Yeah, and he lives in Minneapolis.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was a Gopher, and as soon as he was done here, he moved back there.
Yep. He was just down here a couple weeks ago. He played with a buddy of mine in a golf tournament.
Yeah, it was fun with those guys and hanging out with the old Everblade guys that would get apparently off in Minnesota.
Yep.
And when
a lot of
Ryan
college
comes
kids
to town, they all get together. So it was fun for me to hang out and just listen to their stuff. But that Reggie was just nonstop about football.
That's awesome.
Yep, good. It's enjoyable to be around those guys. I love some coach, like the way he handles kids, really, really different and special kind of guy that way.
And Reg is an all-time good guy that you met, really and
Yep.
truly. Great hockey
Then
player.
he was a great player. That's what I think.
I think Reg would have an actual shot to play in the NHL with today's rules. You know, he played in a different era where you could just put your stick in the middle of somebody and not let them skate.
Yeah.
Reggie was a very good skater, very shifty player.
He was pre-lockout, right?
Yeah.
Reggie's last year, I think, was right around the lockout.
Yeah.
30 seconds.
Yeah. Mark and I talked.
The way he was introduced to me by Ryan was, Pat, I want you to meet the best guy that never made it to the NHL.
Yeah. There you go.
So, those guys as much as watching the kids play.
All right, we're
We
coming
got
back.
into a lot of the teaching
Here
stuff.
we go.
It was fun.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
Our remaining moments with Pat Kirwan here on Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. We did ask you to send in some questions for Pat during the break. Pat, one of the questions was in the Twitch chat room, just wondering your thoughts on the Bears offseason, regime change, new GM, new coach. Just your thoughts on the Bears thus far.
Well, Jim Miller is very close to that operation, so most of my insights come from Jim. My own opinion is they have not done enough to be a legitimate contender this year. I think they're going to be in a, I don't know what you want. They don't want to call anything a rebuild, but rebuild, it presumes that you were good, and now you got to become good again. I think they've been bad a long time, and they're not really good enough. I would not think of them as a team that could have a winning record this year.
And Pat, this question on the draft, it says a year out, is next year's draft looking good enough to trade down for a pick next year? And I think we all know that it is, but my question on that would be, how hard is it going to be to trade out for next year?
Well, people this is a net business, and a lot of guys feel the pressure all the time, and they know that if they're a 9-win team, they could get to a 10 or 11-win team. This year, they're going to do it. Part of the confrontations that potentially exist in Miami with Flores and stuff was he was trying to win games right then. And a lot of coaches are always trying to win right away, so they'll give stuff away to get into this. We have a bunch of teams, and you guys brought up all the teams with 2 picks, and we have a bunch of teams with no first-round picks. And the anxiety they're going to face when the draft starts, as names start falling off the board. They don't have a pick in the second round either, so they could get a little antsy here and decide, let's give something away to get into it. I mean, a lot of people are talking next year's got 3 quarterbacks. I always laugh when I hear this stuff. I'm sure there's 3 quarterbacks. Are they all going to be healthy? There's a lot of things that are going to happen, so you can't truly bet on next year.
I think most are willing to bet there'll be 2. I think Stroud at Ohio State and Young at Alabama are the 2 that most are willing to bet on. I think at this moment in time, I'm not sure how many would bet on more than that. Pat, I asked you, or at least I threw this out there as a trial balloon heading to break. The Saints say, they made that deal. I think a lot of us raised our eyebrow at it, go, is that it? Or is this part 1 of a 2-part move? They've got 16 and 19. If you package those, how high up do you think you get according to the board? Can they get to the Giants at 7, the Giants at 5, the Jets at 4? How high does 16 and 19 together get you?
I think both teams, Giants and Jets, are going to try, and I'm sure they're going to take those calls or have already started taking them from Mickey Loomis. I think they're going to want to give their second of their 2 picks, not their first one. I would think assures them of what they're looking for, and then the second one they can move off it and take volume in the middle of the round. So I think those two teams would be potentially listening to all of that stuff. But I do think you targeted the only ones that'll do it. I don't know who else would really want to do that. Now, it's got to be a draft day trade, which you guys, I'm sure, cover all the time because you're not sure the guys you want available. Certainly the guys that are going. Let's use Atlanta for a second. I don't think they'd work with them, but let's just use them because they're at the 8th spot. Let's say all of a sudden, the guy you want fell to 8. You would love to be able to give 2 away and get him. But I know Mark. Mark likes volume, and he likes. I think the draft is. We all like to say there's only 8 or 10 first rounders, but you got 2 picks, and you got a team with cap problems, and you got a team that needs to get younger. If I'm New Orleans, I'd stay there. But I agree with you guys. I think they moved up there to now get into another spot higher than that. But I don't think the Jets or the Giants would give their top 2 picks their pick away at 4 and 5 and all that stuff.
And the danger mark for the Saints is that the thought is a quarterback could go as high as Carolina at 6. And so if the Saints are truly looking for a quarterback, they may have to move it ahead of Carolina at 6.
Team that you mentioned, teams getting back into the first round. When I look at Kansas City at the end of the first round, back-to-back picks, an upper echelon team, to me, I'd be picking up the phone and calling Kansas City if I'm a Miami or if I'm somebody that doesn't have a first-round pick to get back in. Does that look like a spot late in the first round? The Chiefs, a really good team, may want to move out of that, whether it's next year or later in the draft.
Some tentative plans with a team like Miami, but Miami, I think with your Kansas City, you're thinking, maybe I'll do that with you. Call me after the pick before us. They go at 29 and 30. When 28th card goes in, then call me, and we'll either confirm we will or not. I've said many times on the show, we used to cut up the league into 3 parts, and I took my group, and Dick Steinberg took his, and Ron Wolf took his, or Dick Haley took his, and then we positioned ourselves for potential trades with a lot of people based on who was going to be there. And so I don't think Kansas City would do it raw without knowing. They need a pass rusher. They got to get ready to walk away from Frank Clark. They could land up thinking Montee, the kid from Minnesota, would be down there where they are. That might intrigue them to do that. Think of some of the guys they've taken in the past. The Villanova kid to rush the passer, and that didn't work out. But they take risks down there. They certainly need to do something in that department, and they may need to do something in the receiver. So I don't know. I'll put this in front of you. If at 29 and 30 they could get Christian Watson and Boy Mafe, would you stay?
Yes.
Me too.
Yes, I would, because I think the Chiefs want to get off the game that they're playing where they're constantly turning, having to write checks and turn salary into signing bonus money. I'm guessing it. They want to get off that train, and they need, cheap draft picks in order to get off that train.
Yep. Agree with you.
Pat, who's falling from what you hear? Like, I keep seeing, Lindbaum, the center that you and I both love. I keep seeing him falling just because people are falling in love with guys at sexier positions. And, I thought he wouldn't make it past the Eagles, but they're at 15 and 18 now. Maybe the Chargers at 17. I'm just curious, who's falling?
I think centers that are undersized. Centers in general, not a lot of first round. Some of the stuff we're hearing, I don't know. I can't accept yet that they're falling, but I think a lot of people like to spread the word they're falling. Smart DMs don't pay attention to that stuff, but I agree with you. Certain guys seem to fall. I think the Notre Dame safety has to weather that 4-7 storm that he put on himself. That scares a lot of people, and he's a very good player. But when you sit down and think 4-7, do I really think that guy can play in the deep middle in the NFL with Rodgers throwing passes outside the numbers? No. Oh, that's right. He might be a semi-linebacker type, that would be very appealing to Ron Rivera. You go study the guys he's drafted. he loves safeties that can play linebacker, and he's played a lot of them. But other guys who are looking for a deep middle player are going to look at him and say, I don't know. And then they'll have their own unwritten rules that strong safeties don't go in the first round.
Well,
so I don't know. Those kind of guys, I don't think the quarterbacks are moving up as fast as people think. And I think if 5 quarterbacks go in the first round, I'll have 5 critical statements to make. Are you taking them because you need one? Or are you taking them because you think they're good enough?
Well,
I think it's a very good class.
Yeah, we all know they'll be taking them because of need, not because the board says so. Pat, appreciate your time. We'll do it again on Thursday because it's a short week for us.
Yeah, I know you in the short weeks. I'll be there, ready to roll.
Okay.
That's all I want to know.
Okay. Right. Yeah. We take about 6 days off a year. Okay. For the guy who only takes 2. Thanks.
Unbelievable.
Pat Kirwan, moving the chains, joining us here on Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. And use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
You know, particularly if we're doing a Lake City one. I mean, you know, that's going to involve us driving, and I mean, we'll need to.
I don't
take a day off.
I don't think that's a real distinct possibility. I don't think in order to get he better have one hell of a promotion to get a golf tournament sold up there beyond just our little show in Lake City. Because I don't know if we have 100 listeners in Lake City.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I understand.
We got one. Lincoln stopped in this morning again, which, you know, leads me to believe if someone's texting, that's the best thing.
Right.
We've had no one saying I'm listening to you guys in Tampa.
Well, I thought we had the one. Yeah, Ryan or Hops. My guess is you guys are going to have to try to claim Joe Burrow in terms of most successful Ohio State quarterback in the NFL. I don't think you can do it.
Revised pet policy notice.
When I first called Pat, he was like, "Oh, you sound tired. You barred too much in college," and I'm like, "I'm colleging too much in college."
You haven't recovered from Tallahassee.
No, that's the
Yeah, that's
thing.
I hate to break this to you. Most of your tiredness is all self-inflicted. You're going to blame this on colleging, but you did an 8-hour drive back
Yes,
from
I know,
Tallahassee.
but I had to do it because it's part of college.
What's part of college? Driving 8 hours to Tallahassee
Getting
to go to another college?
getting lit.
That had nothing to do with driving 8 hours. You could get lit anywhere.
Yeah, but Fort Myers isn't as. Oh, my bad. Let me correct myself. FGCU is not as lit as FSU.
Yes.
Not nearly as much.
No. Here's the painful realization that you're not willing to is even at your age, okay, at some point you need a night that you just shut it down and you got to catch up on your sleep and you're not willing to do it. And I'm talking about 9 o'clock, you're out.
No. I have a class at 4:30 today. I will be out till that class.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
but then you'll stay up until 1 o'clock
That's
watching
the thing.
NBA.
No, but I might just go to sleep afterwards.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
All right.
I might tell my roommate to hit me with a baseball bat in the face. So,
If he says no,
would you be willing to step up?
I know a guy. Nothing like the dog getting up at 2:30 to have to go outside.
And
it was a full howl, like whimpering. I gotta
Right.
go. He's had diarrhea. I'm like, all right, we ain't dealing with this inside. And I'm outside, literally in my underwear in the front yard. Dog not on a
Nice.
leash at 2:30 in the morning.
That's wow. That's legendary right there. That's fantastic. I gotta say, Rufus has been all or nothing with Rufus. I can get Rufus to, stay in the damn room and what have you. She'll sleep through the night.
Rufus is a girl?
Yeah, I know. Daughter always wanted a bulldog, always wanted to name it Rufus. Turned out to be a girl. She didn't care.
It's just
Got to
such
name it.
It's such a fitting name.
She got to name it.
Yeah, my daughter already had the name for her cat as Peaches, even though Peaches is a boy.
No, Peaches is.
Gotta call Jake.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour, the final segment of Miller and Moulton for those of you in Lake City and surrounding areas, Tampa, St. Pete, and Port Charlotte and Venice. The bonus hour for those in the 239 coming up after the top of the hour. Jake Fischer is kind enough to join us now. He covers the NBA for Bleacher Report. He hosts Please Don't Aggregate This podcast. And he's also the author of Built to Lose, How the NBA's Tanking Era Changed the League Forever. It's available through Triumph Books. You can follow Jake on Twitter at Jake, the letter L, Fischer, Jake L. Fischer, and that's Fischer, S-C-H-E-R. Jake, it's David and Mark. We appreciate your time, particularly at this hour. How are you?
Doing well. How are you guys? Thanks for having me.
Well, we are doing fine. First off, can we just address what the commissioner said late last week and whether or not anything really can be done when he came out and said, you know what, our stars need to play more? All sorts of possibilities here, including, shortening the season, the whole deal. But Jake, realistically, is this cat out of the bag and it can't be put back?
I think we're in a spot in the league overall where the power pendulum has kind of swung irreparably towards the players. And now it's kind of seemed like a sense of status if you are able to sit games, right? Where someone like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in OKC is quote unquote too good when the Thunder are trying to tank, or starter players like Joel Embiid and James Harden get rested on the second night of the back-to-back. If you're not one of those players who is getting, it's considered kind of like you're below and a tier below those top tier guys. So that exists right now, and I don't know if that's going to go away unless the league does instruct harsher penalties on players for not playing when healthy. But that's also, the difficult aspect of it, where you look at Portland as the Blazers, did their best to tank down the stretch. They're kind of making up all kinds of injury designations and whatnot, plantar fascia and things like that you can't really prove. So it is a really big, gray, thorny area.
No doubt. There's so many injuries that are in that questionable area that would be really difficult to start saying you're healthy and not playing, and they could come up with a lot of different excuses of why they are not. Obviously, Brooklyn is the team out of the play-in that we know can do the most damage. Take Brooklyn out of the equation. In these play-in games, who do you think, if they win, has the best shot to maybe not even win a series, but to really do some damage in a first round?
Yeah, everyone's definitely looking at the Nets, but I think all across the Eastern Conference in the play-in tournament, there's a bunch of teams, when healthy. The top-tier teams aren't exactly thrilled to play against. The Atlanta Hawks obviously just went on a pretty surprise run to the Eastern Conference Final last year. And in the West, the Clippers, Kawhi Leonard is certainly floating out there as a possible return. I don't really think that's expected, but just the fact that they do have Paul George back now, they do have Norm Powell back now, Robert Covington's playing at a high level. The Clippers are definitely a dangerous team in the Western Conference.
Boy, I don't know if anybody's got anything for Phoenix. However, is this the year where maybe the play-in takes hold because of what Brooklyn could do?
I think the play-in was a success from the jump last season, where when the league instituted this, schedule change, if you will, I don't think they were expecting to have LeBron James versus Steph Curry in a single elimination type of environment, or a double elimination type of environment like they did meet last season. And this year you've got, like you said, you've got Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving in the Nets. You've got, like I said, Paul George and the Clippers. The Minnesota Timberwolves are, a team that's on the rise, one of the best seasons in franchise history. I believe they're fifth best in franchise history. They haven't made the playoffs. They only made it once in 2004. For them to get kind of like a home game in a playoff environment tonight, like I know someone who lives in New York who flew back to Minnesota for that game. It's something we're talking about right now. I think it's objectively been an success, and it's something that Silver has reflected in his public comments, and everyone I talk to in and around the NBA, they're all pretty excited about this format so far.
Well, this first round also sets up to be as intriguing as I can remember since they've gone of best of seven. There are at least two series on both sides, depending on who Brooklyn matches up with, maybe even more, where the lower seeded team could not just do damage, but I think could win. Do you recall a time since we've gone to best of seven where the first round's this intriguing?
I really can't. And I was just talking to someone who works in the Western Conference in the front office yesterday about how we keep talking this season about how the East's playoffs, it's going to be a bloodbath. And then people say, well, next year when Kawhi's back and when the Nuggets are at full strength, with Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr., the West is going to be a bloodbath. I think the way the NBA is structured now, with talent from top to bottom, the three-point shooting, the skill sets that these players are coming into the league with, I think the league might be at a talent level at an all-time high. The hand-checking rules are kind of being even more restricted, and it's, freedom of movement and pace of play. And I wonder if the NBA is just getting to a point where we're going to 12 teams in each conference that really have a shot to win. Just like we see in, the NFL and the NHL, where the playoffs become more of a free-for-all. I think we might be getting to that point in the NBA.
He's Jake Fischer. He covers the NBA for Bleacher Report. His podcast is Please Don't Aggregate This. He is also the author of Built to Lose, How the NBA's Tanking Era Changed the League Forever. Follow Jake on Twitter, Jake, the letter L, Fischer, Jake L. Fischer, and that's Fischer, Fischer. How come no one's talking the Heat? I mean, if the East is this deep and this good, and they're the 1 seed, how come no one's talking about them?
They're not very sexy, which is funny to say, being that the Heat are obviously in Miami, and they like to have a their stadium in the Bacardi rum bars in the concourse, but they're fielding out their full 5-man lineup all year long, where Boston is Tatum and Brown, and the Bucks are Giannis and Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton, and the Sixers are Joel Embiid and James Harden. The Heat really haven't had Jimmy Butler, Kyle Lowry, Bam Adebayo, Tyler Hero for many minutes together. And they do it in a way that a lot of their 53-29 record, that's the best in the East. A lot of it's credit to guys like Gabe Vincent and Max Strus and Caleb Martin, who have been, minimum guys or 2-way contract guys that is just part of, the next successful Heat development plans, where they take these guys basically off the scrap heap and turn them into legitimate postseason rotation players. So I think that's why the average game that someone turns on a Heat game, or when the Heat are in town, they're not seeing their stars. They're seeing those bench players that wouldn't have really even gotten a shot somewhere else, because Miami's franchise is so successful at player development. They're able to kind of compete with everybody else without necessarily having Jimmy available for so many games in so many games.
Who are you buying the most in the East right now?
Before the Robert Williams injury, I really was all in on Boston, and there is a lot of optimism that he will be able to return by the second round. They're a team that they have the number 1 defense in the league. Their offense, I believe, is 8th in the league and is a lot higher. And the Bucks, I think the Bucks, obviously they're the reigning champs. They seem to have pretty much done exactly what they've done in years past. They pretty much have their entire unit from last season outside of PJ Tucker, who's of course obviously with Miami. But I think the Bucks did a pretty good job at the deadline of acquiring Serge Ibaka to really up their front court presence. And Giannis could win his 3rd MVP award. And so when you're the reigning champs and have an unheard of player like Giannis at the center of their attack on both sides of the court, and the Bucks are as dangerous as they were last year when they won the title.
I can't believe I'm going to ask you this question, because we've been making fun of the fact that the national media for months has just talked Lakers nonstop. But I am curious about this. They really mishandled this whole Vogel firing, and it seems to now be almost a Knicks-like operation and soap opera there. Can this offseason be real damage to them, or are they going to be able to put it all back together? Because, LeBron can walk in a year. And if, it's tough to imagine what that franchise will look like without him. I'm just wondering, are they at a tipping point here? Is it a crisis, or was this just one bad year?
I wouldn't say they're at a crisis, being that Anthony Davis is under contract for at least 2 more seasons, and then he has a player option. And LeBron, by all accounts, is going to sign for a 2-year maximum that he's eligible, being that there's an over 38 rule in the collective bargaining agreement that prevents him from signing a maximum contract for longer than that amount. So that'll add on another 2 years after to the 1 year contract that you mentioned. So that gives the Lakers a 3-year window with AD and LeBron, which when they've been healthy, they won the title in 2020. So the Lakers are still operating from that place of strength, being that they think when those 2 guys are healthy, they will be able to compete with the right supporting cast around them. They do think there's going to be an opportunity to trade Russ this summer. I don't know exactly where that is. The Pacers get brought up, the Hornets get brought up, but we'll really see when that deal does get done. But from there, it is going to be challenging when you build a team around maximum contracts to that degree. You have to then round out your roster with veteran minimums. And, after what's happened in the past, this season and last season prior, I'm skeptical how many real impact players are going to want to come join that team on a veteran minimum deal. But, they do have LeBron, who's still playing at an all-star level. Anthony Davis, when healthy, has still played at an all-star level. And I think as the Vogel disaster has kind of been introduced into this next phase of now they're in this quote-unquote coaching search, and there are definitely a lot of names popping up that I believe are popping up because that person wants that job. Doc Rivers in particular, I believe, his name gets mentioned to be a candidate there. And I think that's a job that he does have circled on his sheet if he does get fired in Philadelphia, or that situation comes to the close. I think that's at the top of his list. I think that'd be at the top of his list, of many coaches' lists. So they'll be in the mix next season in some capacity. Will they be the surefire title contenders that they thought they were? That remains to be seen.
Jake, thanks for your time and your insight. We appreciate it. Hope to have you back on later in the playoffs.
You got it. Thank you, guys.
Jake Fischer covers the NBA for Bleacher Report. His podcast is called Please Don't Aggregate This, and he's the author of the book, How the NBA's Tanking Era Changed the League Forever. Follow Jake on Twitter, Jake, the letter L, Fischer, and that's Fischer, Fischer.
I didn't know we were allowed to go Lakers.
I may have violated the rule.
No. We didn't discuss it. But he did tweet out yesterday that Juwan Howard's name's another candidate for the Lakers job that's out there. Nick Nurse was put out there yesterday. Juwan Howard, he mentioned Doc Rivers, just a couple of the people that are being talked about for the job.
Here's my question. Can you really hire Doc Rivers? First off, they were just fine getting rid of him with the Clippers, number one. And number two, what if they lose first round in Toronto, which I think's in play, by the way, in Philadelphia? I really do. It's not a sexy upset pick. I think it's real. I think that series goes deep.
I think that Thibault not being able to play in Toronto is
significant.
Could be detrimental.
Is significant.
Because he has been nothing but good for them on the defensive end.
Yeah. He's their best defensive player, and he's not vaxxed, so he can't play in the 3 games in Toronto. So I think Doc can only get the job if the Sixers go on a run. If the Sixers go on a run, the Sixers are going to be like, well, we ain't just going to let them leave.
Right.
And the Lakers are like, yeah, we don't have to give up assets to get a coach. So that'll be interesting. Don't be surprised, Quinn Snyder from Utah also, because they could be one and done.
The Jazz could also just blow the whole thing up.
Well, it all depends if Donovan Mitchell decides, you know what? Salt Lake is boring.
Salt Lake is boring.
You know,
it's just whether or not he wants to stay there while it's boring.
You know, it's not boring. Miami.
And that's not, if he's leaving, they ain't going to Miami. Sorry to break your heart.
Him and D-Wade are close.
If he's leaving, he's going to the Knicks.
D-Wade still playing with the Heat?
No, he actually owns
the
majority of the Jazz. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So if he decides to leave, they ain't that close.
Right.
Sure they chat.
Miller and Moulton. For those, Lake City, Tampa, St. Pete, Port Charlotte, and Venice, hey, thanks so much for listening. Make sure you vote in the poll question if you haven't already. Best traditional Easter candy. My mom, by the way, voted Peeps. Yellow.
No!
Yellow. Yeah, I know. A dagger.
Ugh. Jelly beans running away with it, David, as expected. Miller and Moulton, we thank you for having jelly beans with us right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program
The Training Grove, with a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, the Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with the Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove, with a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals. The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with the Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Do we not book them at all?
We can't not book NBA guys.
I agree.
It's the flipping playoffs. Did you hit the button? Oh, you don't have to hit the button anymore, do you? Just making sure you're awake over there.
Only black and orange jelly beans? That's weird. So you go orange, but you won't go red or yellow or green. Interesting. You don't see many green jelly beans. They're good. Hollow chocolate bunny making a run
It's because it's milk chocolate and it's delicious.
to within 10%.
It would have been my number 2. Tomorrow's poll question is going to be best non-traditional Reese's Easter candy. It's going to be Reese's Egg, Reese's Egg, Reese's Egg, and Reese's Egg. Boy, oh boy, it looks like the Michigan Panthers, a high-rated team in the USFL, plus 450. Some of the best odds you can get.
Is that what Jeff?
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
The bonus hour on this Tuesday. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. Poll question, with it being Easter week, your favorite traditional Easter candy. And right now, jelly beans only 10 points ahead of the hollow chocolate bunny. So milk chocolate making a big run here to try to chase down jelly beans. Go to FL Sports Network, that Mark Miller, the David Moulton on Twitter, or floridasportsnetwork.com and vote.
I do like that hollow egg to be thrown in the fridge for a little snap to it. Just for what it's worth.
When the bunny breaks apart and you end up eating a decent amount, what do you do with the rest? You put it in the fridge?
Put it in the fridge.
So you have like a paper plate? And
Well,
you
no,
just
I mean,
have
because
the-
usually it comes in
candy?
some sort of aluminum foil wrapper. So if you unwrap it properly, then you can just wrap it back up. And then what you get at the bottom is all of those little chocolate pieces. And you can either try to pour it into your mouth or just be a pig and lick it. Act like you haven't done it.
I've definitely done it. Although I'm not a huge candy guy, but
Okay.
which I know is
But
surprising
But the
because
same thing you've done with a bag of potato chips.
well, come on, it's totally different. The bottom of a bag of chips
No, but
versus the remnants of a chocolate bunny.
I was having this debate the other day. Are there certain gummies that you can classify as candy, or is a
Anyone
gummy
that's not a THC gummy.
I was going to say, how is
The
it? Right.
like a Sour Patch? Is that a candy?
Yes.
Okay, then a Welch is a candy. Then, like the little Welch packets.
Oh, yeah, that they pawn off as fruit snacks?
Right.
Is that what you're talking about?
Does that classify
right
as
now
a
you've
candy?
turned into a 7-year-old because my daughter takes those to lunch every day.
Oh, they're so good though.
But it's a total candy. It's a con that's put on by the food companies. Hey, it's a fruit snack. No, it's not. It's candy.
It's candy.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm just enjoying where this conversation's going. That's all.
Well, our conversation is going to have to deviate from candy because I discovered something during the break.
What was that?
I've got week 1 lines for the USFL.
Are you serious? You're going there? You, of all people, you.
You know now, I have said that this league has the greatest possibility of success of all spring leagues thus far because they're playing all of the games in Birmingham.
Right. They're going to reduce expenses, at least for this year, and try to get it off the ground, get a little something going, give themselves a chance probably to hire some staff and do some marketing and maybe be able to have home games next year.
And I would keep everything right in Birmingham. I wouldn't change this at all, not one iota. I would make this like the old roller derby where they just made up team names and they're not really from that city. They're all just playing there.
So you don't ever want the Michigan Panthers to host a game?
No, want all Houston at Michigan. It's noon on Saturday, I believe.
Would you move it around? We're in Birmingham in 2022. We're going to move to St. Louis in 2023. I mean, or would
no, I actually think they have the perfect city for this. I'm not at all joking around. Birmingham's the most football-starved city in the United States.
I think there are a couple that are actually up there. Believe it or not, the AAF team in St. Louis was drawing like 30,000+. San Antonio was doing really well also. But I hear you. It's certainly on the top 5.
Particularly with the type of players are going to be here. These would be college guys that didn't make it, that are trying to their hand at it. So,
and it's the number 1 college football television market in the country. Okay, fair enough. Betting lines, seriously?
Betting lines. I mean, right now, you're looking at most spreads 2.5, 3.5.
Come on, we don't know anything about these teams.
Yes, we do.
What do we know?
I know Shea Patterson's quarterbacking for the Michigan Panthers.
Okay. Come on, we don't know anybody.
Here's the thing with Michigan Panthers. If they lose this week, you bet on them next week. And you know why? Jeff Fisher's their coach. And whatever goes on, however many games they play, they're going to win just as many as they lose.
Boy, that joke never gets old.
Not to you.
I will say. That joke never gets old. Unbelievable. You know what I am interested about? And I learned about it today in our Twitch chat room. One of our listeners pointed out that one of the technological things that the USFL is going to experiment with, no yardage markers.
Thank goodness.
They're going to have chips in the ball. And they're going to be able to electronically, with a computer and all that, tell you where it is the ball should be.
I did see something as well as they're trying to figure, I guess did I read it right? A glowing ball? The USFL glowing football. They're trying to get a glowing football.
Uh-oh. This didn't work well with the puck.
No, it didn't.
Why do we need a glowing? I mean, is it going to look like a meteor? Like going through the air when they throw the ball?
They're trying to have a glowing football so when it crosses the goal line, you will see it. Now, as much as you wanted to mock, it is an important part of the game that we leave up to discretion.
Well, do we need to have the ball glowing the entire time, or are you just going to make it glowing when they get in the red zone?
The legal experiment with a football that glows. During game telecast, viewers cannot see the ball under a pile of bodies. And at the goal line, they think an illuminated ball will help.
All right, well, then the camera has to be on the goal line, which is not always the case. I mean, the main camera then is going to have to be on the goal line. It doesn't do you any good to have the camera even be slightly offset.
David, we have betting lines in a glowing football. The more stupid crap they can do for this, the better, the greater the chance of me watching.
Well, here's the other deal, and I understand we've got 8,000 channels and streaming services and all that, but of the big 4 networks, 2 of them at the same time are showing the same game.
Which is unbelievable.
Right.
And that's going to be Saturday night.
Fox and NBC.
7:30 p.m., the simulcast of the USFL.
Correct. I still have no idea who the announcers are. I can't get anybody to tell me who the announcers are.
What network?
Thank you. Thank you. I mean,
because it's on 2, and they're going to have separate announcing crews, much like Super Bowl I.
Exactly. Where we get an NBC and a CBS crew. for the World Championship, for the AFL NFL World Championship game.
But instead, it's going to be for the kickoff of the USFL.
Right. Again, 2.0. Because we did this already for 3 years. And Mark, maybe that's it. Because I actually watched the USFL.
A lot of us did.
Now, I wasn't super into it. Like, it didn't bother me if the New Jersey Generals lost in the playoffs, whatever. But I did watch spring football. Now, granted, I was 17, 18, and 19 when this league played its games.
Right now, Tampa Bay and Michigan, the odds-on favorite to win the league, plus 450, David. Have you seen all the rules?
No.
That you can go for 1, 2, or 3 after a touchdown?
Hold on a second. You can go for 3?
Extra point from the 15-yard line.
It's the Woody Hayes rule.
What it should have been called. It's a great point. Look it up if you don't know. When Woody beat Michigan, 50-0? Why'd you go for 2 up whatever?
Because I couldn't go for 3.
So you go for 1, kicking an extra point from the 15-yard line. You go from 2, it's a 2-point conversion at the 2. But you can go for 3, and you try a 2-point conversion from the 10.
From the 10?
Yes. Onside kicks. You have the traditional. You can also choose a 4th and 12 from the 33-yard line.
Well, now we're talking. This, I really do believe, is going to take the place of the onside kick in the NFL.
They have clock stoppages like college football after a first down during the final 2 minutes of the second and fourth quarters.
And college, it's
all the time.
Right.
And then overtime, the USFL will use a best-of-3 format, which consists of each offense getting the chance to score from the opponent's 2-yard line. If it's still tied after 3 attempts, sudden death will then come into play.
Now, I understand that in a spring league that you probably need to do something funky if a game's tied after regulation. I mean, this is not the National Football League. Just come on. We got to end this. I mean, the league exists for Fox and NBC. I mean, it does. I mean, Fox owns the league, and their emphasis behind it is to have spring programming. They're apparently in for $150 million. $50 million a year for 3 years is reportedly what Fox is in for. Now, what often happens in these leagues is you find out they blow through 120 of the 150 million right away.
I mean, they're going through the simulcast of the first game, which is the New Jersey Birmingham, which nobody even cares. But then there's a noon kick on Sunday, a 4 p.m. kick on Sunday, and an 8 p.m. kick on Sunday. On NBC at noon, USA at 4, FS1 at 8 p.m.
Yeah, a lot of people haven't made the transition to the fact that USA Network is the new NBCSN. They're going to turn that into a sports channel.
Yeah, they're going to turn it into TNT. Do you think it'll be full-on sports, or do you think it'll be more like the combination of what TNT is?
It'll be more like TNT, but it's going to be NBC's second sports channel,
which is a big boost for any sport that's put on there because they're in far more homes than the NBC Sports Network was ever in. And I think that's what NBC at the end of the day figured out. We can get more commercial dollars because we're just flat out in more homes.
By the way, one of our next 2 poll questions should be, are you going to watch?
I wasn't until that last commercial break.
The glowing football?
Well, and the fact I can only lay 3.5 in week 1 with Jeff Fischer. That's money, baby. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. And use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Tony Gwynn, seasons hitting 350 or higher, 7. Season with more than 40 strikeouts, 0. Did you see the opening day stat? It was something like Tony Gwynn's last, 7 years in the majors. He had like 142 strikeouts, and there were exactly 142 strikeouts like opening day.
Jesus. Oh, Dan Patrick's got the Twins on. You know I'm desperate for a segment when I go USFL, David. By the way, what did what's his face? Marty's partner there say about his conversation with West Palm?
I think it was generic, but it was with Fox,
Right? No.
Not Dave, who you called. Jeff in Iowa, I like it. The USFL on USA Network feels like an 80s thing, like Islander playoff games on that station the last few years. Jeff, it's why I keep waiting. When this Turner deal's done, I really believe that ESPN's going to end up with the NCAA tournament.
That would be
Because it'd be ABC, ESPN, ESPN2, ESPNU. That'd be the 4 channels that the games would be on.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"20 minutes past the hour, Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network." We talked about it much earlier in the show, but since this is the bonus hour and live in the 239 on the radio anyway, Kirsten Bell, 11th overall, little lower than was expected. She goes to Las Vegas. There's 12 teams in the WNBA, so she's a late first-round pick. Highest pick in FGCU history because Whitney Knight went 13th, which was early second round at the time. So Bell goes 11th to Las Vegas. The irony there, she's been the Becky Hammon back-to-back mid-major player of the year. And who's she going to play for in Las Vegas? Becky Hammon, new head coach. Destiny Henderson definitely went lower than expected. There was talk that she would be a late first-round pick right around where Kirsten went, and Destiny fell all the way to 20th to Indiana. Indiana had 4 first-round picks, which had never happened to the WNBA before, and then Destiny fell to them at 20. They're going young. They're in a clear rebuild.
Tough team to make if there's 5 draft picks on it.
And 4 first-rounders, and you figure they're all going to make it. So I'll say this, though. Everybody needs a point guard, and they didn't draft one. I mean, none of the 4 that they drafted were a point guard. I watched through Destiny Henderson being selected because, you know, she's from Fort Myers High School. And obviously, Kirsten, the last 2 years at FGCU, wanted to see where they went. And I think Destiny also caught a bad break because I'm not going to pretend that I follow the WNBA closely. So, and ESPN did a very good job doing the draft. And they would list team needs. And they would only list one, like, what's your main need? And none of the 12 teams, the main need was point guard.
Which then, 1, doesn't bode well, and 2, the odds are she's making the team as a backup.
Right.
More than likely.
But I will say she's going to a situation that's a total teardown. I mean, if you're going to go young, go young. Also, winner throughout her life.
3 times at Fort Myers, and then a national championship at South Carolina.
And took them to 2 Final Fours. Yeah.
And played her best game of her college career in a championship game.
And played for Dawn Staley, the new gold standard in the sport. U.S. Olympic coach, 2-time national champion at South Carolina. If you, at Dawn Staley, a point guard and a legendary point guard, and she played point guard for her for 4 years. If I was running Indiana, she'd make the team. I don't care what the numbers say. She'd make the team. We'll play it from there. But we'll say she got some nice pub for her clothing line last night. First off, I mean, she went like powder blue. All right. And yes, powder blue, not Carolina blue. Sorry.
Well, yeah, she went to South Carolina. Why would she wear Carolina
Right.
blue?
So she went with an all powder blue outfit. And so she looked very sharp. And even Holly Rowe had to say, you look sharp, and she plugged her clothing line. All right. So
Good
there
for
you
her.
go.
I was going to buy a t-shirt until they were $50. I literally was. I saw the thing during the national title game. They made mention of it. I'm like, hey, or I think somebody on Twitter had made mention of getting a shirt. I'm like, let me check this out. I'll support the kid, Fort Myers girl. That sounds like fun. $50 t-shirt. Are you out of your mind?
Well, was that before or after the 24
No, that was
point
during the
performance?
game.
Oh, okay.
That's what they cost.
Gotcha.
You know, it's designer streetwear, David. That's what it cost, apparently.
I don't doubt
I'm not much into the designer streetwear.
Right. Felipe, all right. With $50, would you have no problems? Now, that's if you have it. And I understand right now, you're a senior in college.
It's even more important. Would you buy it because you don't have it?
I'd rather buy a Heat game ticket. There's a lot of things I'd rather buy for $50. Let's just say that.
Well, but you can't get a Heat game ticket. We're in the playoffs now. You can't get in that building for $50.
Have you ever spent $50 on a T-shirt?
Yes.
See, there you go.
That was really, we didn't phrase the question right. So you think of yourself a little bit of as a fashionista.
Have I? No, I don't think I have actually. Well, okay, does a jersey qualify as a T-shirt?
No, it's a jersey.
It's a jersey. I don't know. It's an upper garment.
Have you ever been in class, right? And the one student, and maybe it was us, you raise your hand and you ask that question and the whole class kind of looks at you. Does a jersey qualify as a T-shirt?
Oh my gosh. Is a soccer jersey not a T-shirt though?
No,
it's a soccer jersey.
But it's like a T-shirt.
No, actually it's not.
And you just did a great thing there. You said, but it's like a T-shirt. Yes, it is like a T-shirt, but you know what it's not? A T-shirt.
Then no, I have not spent $50 on a T-shirt.
There you go. Miller and Moulton. Just wanted to, in the local hour, just, tip of the hat to Kirsten Bell and Destiny Henderson.
She's excited to go to Vegas.
How could you not be? Although I will say, Kirsten Bell was far and away the most confident person who walked on that stage last night.
Yes.
All right. And there was a great moment in which Holly Rose trying to interview her. And Holly's on her left. And the camera is to Kirsten's right. And Holly is trying to talk to Kirsten. And Kirsten's just turns her head and is just staring right into the camera. All right. Gave it a little pose like, look at me.
Well, go deliver, young lady. Go deliver.
So they did tell the story nationally, though, because her nickname was Shebron. And from Ohio and not too far away from where LeBron was playing with the Cavs. And she was Miss Everything in Ohio State high school basketball, as obviously he was Mr. Everything in the state of Ohio high school basketball. And I think she won the award at least 3 times, best player of the whole deal. And he showed up at one of her games. And I don't know if she had the nickname before that, but I mean, he's with the Cavs, obviously, when he showed up at her game. And Holly Rose said, how'd you do that day? And she goes, I saw LeBron in the stand. She goes, I scored 38. I mean, it's LeBron. And so then Holly said, and that's why they called you Shebron. And was very confident. And I'll be curious how Becky Hammon handles that.
Well, as long as the game's there, she can be as confident as she wants to be. But I have a funny feeling that it won't take long for Kirsten to come to the realization that, well, this league has a lot of players just like me in it.
Well, I mean, let's face it. She's never been on a team where she wasn't the best player. High school, and even though she played 1 year at Ohio State, there were a lot of people that thought that, I mean, she came off the bench.
That's why she left Ohio State.
Right. And there were a lot of people and that was a nationally ranked team that she was on there. But a lot of people were like, what are you doing? Why are you not playing her more? And came to FGCU, where obviously she was the best player.
I would imagine that Ohio State coach would look back at that differently now.
Well,
I think.
But once again, you're not expecting, and this was only 2 short years ago, but a lot has changed in 2 years. I mean, you're not expecting your top recruit to transfer after 1 year.
Right. But when you promise that recruit that they're going to play and play a lot and they don't play, I mean, it basically in a small capsule
sure
lets you know exactly what's going on in college athletics right now from coast to coast.
It was an interesting night, and obviously most people don't follow this, but we've talked for a long time, whether it's football, whether it's men's basketball, whether it's women's basketball, that in theory, you don't necessarily have to go to all the big schools, that they will find you. And it was interesting last night, the number, I mean, an FGCU, an IUPUI, a North Florida, a South Dakota, I mean, they all had players drafted last night. And there's only 36 players that get drafted in WNBA. And you would like to think the mid-major programs could use that on the recruiting trail and go, hey,
Doesn't matter where you play.
I mean, yeah, Baylor had 3 players drafted, but guess what? We had 2. It just so. But hats off, Destiny Henderson, Indiana, Kirsten Bell, Las Vegas, and we'll see where their careers go from here.
Our poll question today, hard-hitting.
Right.
What's the best traditional Easter candy right now? The jelly bean, out ahead of the hollow chocolate bunny, the Cadbury egg in third, and people have actually voted for Peeps.
Hey, one of them's my mother. I did not realize she loved it that much.
Mom likes Peeps.
Yellow ones only. Apparently only 2 kinds of jelly bean, black and orange.
Black and orange?
I know.
What is it, Halloween year-round at Mom's house?
And she likes the yellow Peeps. Loves them, in fact. It's her favorite Easter candy.
Maybe send some out for her today, David. Miller and Moulton, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Today was the day when and what's on tap. All next, right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. And use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Thought it was a babysitter. Considering it says Florida babysitter, put child in the car.
Then I'm guessing. Yeah, I mean, the golf tournament covers.
Right. I mean, this is where I'll just step away, because if I sent an email, it would be, who's going to sell what? I need a list of everybody right now. Like, you want me to run this? I'll run it. And I'll run it like a tyrant. Where's Dawn Krause when I need her?
At Jersey Mike's.
Why does he think a club fitting company would spend $5,000 on a sponsorship? Like, there are times I don't think he gets it. What do we have?
3 minutes. Oh boy. Yeah, Logic Man. It'll be very interesting to see what that team looks like, both the men and the women next year. Well, that's because there's not enough of it, Logic Man. I don't know how to make it better either. Like that little spare lot, if you double or triple deckered a parking garage there, how much better would that make it? You know, do you let them park on the soccer fields? Like, what would you think of that, Felipe, for parking purposes at FGCU games if you let people park on the soccer field?
What sport? Sorry, what sport?
Any sport. Well, but basketball. We're talking about at Alico Arena. If you let them park on the soccer field.
No. Park at the rec field or
Where-
that parking garage and
What
walk across the boardwalk.
rec field? What rec field?
The rec field on campus that you can take a boardwalk across.
You got to remember, we're talking adults here. We're talking people our age and older that are going to these games. All right. You got to.
I mean, just
It's a long walk, Philly.
you don't want to. I know it is, but you don't want to wreck that soccer field, do you?
Why?
Well, first off, the season's over. When the basketball season starts, the soccer season is basically over, unless they're in the NCAA tournament.
And it really doesn't get used that much. So I guess you could.
Well, they should have bought Hertz Arena, Debbie.
They had 2 chances to buy Hertz Arena.
FGCU?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yep.
Yeah, that would have been clutch. All right, here we go.
Thanks for listening. And now, more of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
The home stretch of Miller and Moulton, 22 minutes before the top of the hour. Thanks for being with us, the Florida Sports Network. Seth Everett on the show tomorrow. We'll take a 4-day weekend this week. We'll have best of.
Sorry, that makes the two of us laugh.
It does. It does. But Friday and Monday. Good Friday, Easter Monday. We'll be off. Felipe is like, I haven't put the best ofs together yet. Got it all written down, though.
Yeah, this
Just-
all falls on him. This
I
is the
know.
most pressure he has had on him in his young career here at the Florida Sports Network.
Got to get loaded in the computer. Got to make sure it works.
Got to make sure Westwood One has it.
Got to make sure it times out. Yep. A lot of pressure. Can't be falling asleep on this job, okay? I mean, during this show, you can fall asleep. That job, since we ain't going to be around, you got to get her done. All right, let's do this.
Leave it to the oldest guy in the show, and definitely the oldest soul, to live in the past. Here's David Moulton with Today Was the Day When...
Pretty historic day in our nation's history, and not a good day. 161 years ago today, Mark, 1861, the Confederacy attacked Fort Sumter in South Carolina, and the Civil War was on. April 12th, 1861. April 12th, 1877, it's basically happy birthday to the catcher's mask. First ever catcher's mask used in a baseball game was 145 years ago. Think about that. They actually played the sport without one.
Right.
1900, Congress makes Puerto Rico an unincorporated territory. 1940, I'd never heard this before. The NFL reduces the clipping penalty. It was 25 yards. They reduced it to 15. Remember, they're barely throwing the ball.
No, and didn't they used to, David, call that as a spot foul? So if the clip was behind the line of scrimmage, it was from where the clip took place. Because I remember going to Michigan State games as a kid and seeing, 1st and 31, if you will, off of a clipping penalty.
So 82 years ago, the NFL decided 15 yards was enough. Mark, it was 77 years ago today that FDR died. I remember talking to my grandmother in which she said he basically, when he died, she was, I believe, 21. She had just turned 21 when FDR died. And she said it was the only president I really knew. I mean, he had been president since I was 8. I'm like, wait a minute, he's not president anymore? Harry Truman sworn in as the 33rd president on this day in 1945. 1953, Hogan wins his second Masters by 5. He set the scoring record of 14 under that Jack would break 12 years later. By the way, he set the scoring record by 5. So the scoring record up until 53 was -9 when he went -14. The very next year, Sam Snead wins his third and final Masters in a playoff with Hogan. He beat Ben by 1. It was also the day, Mark, that Bill Haley in the comments recorded Rock Around the Clock.
The toe tapper right there.
It was. My mother had the
45?
Yep. I took it to school and got it scratched.
Ooh.
She was not happy. And not only that,
good.
Not only that, somebody, when they dropped Bobby Darin's Splish Splash on the floor as well and broke it, actually. Yeah, that was pleasant to come back home. Because, of course, she said you could take them to school, and I was in, like, grade school. But, make sure they come back and, right. 1955, on this day, the FDA approved the polio vaccine. That worked out well, and no one had a problem taking it, which is difficult to imagine in these days. 1960, Bill Veeck debuts the exploding scoreboard at Old Comiskey Park. 61 years ago today, I'd never heard this, Douglas MacArthur was offered the job of Major League Baseball commissioner and turned it down. 1964, it was Arnie's final major. His 4th Masters, his 7th major. He won by 6 over Dave Marr and Jack. No one could have imagined at the time that at 34, that would be Arnie's last major. First game at the Astrodome was 57 years ago today in 1965. Phillies beat the Astros 2-0. On this day in 1980, Mark, the United States Olympic Committee endorsed boycotting the Summer Olympics in Moscow. Watson won his second and final Masters by 2 over Jack and Johnny Miller. I think Johnny finished second at the Masters at least 3 times. I know it to be 3. but I think the answer might be 4. Remember where you were when Mize chipped in to beat Norman? He did so today, 35 years ago. Can't wait to see that Norman documentary, by the 30 for 30.
Yeah, I
that they're
know.
doing.
That's going to be terrific.
Sonny Bono was elected mayor of Palm Springs on this day in 1988. And of course, he'd later be a congressman. Second lowest NBA game ever was 30 years ago today. Chuck Daly and Pat Riley were the head coaches. I think it was a playoff game. The Pistons beat the Knicks 72-61.
And set basketball back a decade. Why there's no hand checking, why there's no defense, largely attributed to these games.
Chuck Daly, Pat Riley, 72-61. Oh, yeah, Freddie won the Masters 30 years ago today. Mark O'Mara won the Masters when he birdied 3 of the final 4 to beat David Duval and Freddie by 1. On this day in 1999, Bill Clinton held in contempt in the Paula Jones civil suit for intentionally lying. No. Come on now. Angel Cabrera won the Masters in a playoff 13 years ago today. Everybody remembers Kenny Perry in the playoff because Kenny made a couple late bogeys to fall back into the playoff. But do you remember who else was in the playoff? Chad Campbell. Think about how differently he would have been thought of because he won a PGA when a bunch of nondescript guys won the PGA.
Right.
But you had a Masters,
You got a
to that.
Masters to it. Totally different perspective. Absolutely.
And Spieth 7 years ago went wire to wire over Phil and Justin Rose and won by 4. Alexis Arguello and Ralph Wiley both would have been 70 today. Tom Clancy would have been 75. Tiny Tim would have been 90. And David Cassidy would have been 72. They all had their birthdays on April 12th. Mike Garrett, 78. Most know him as the USC AD. He was a great running back for the Chiefs. Ron McLean, Hockey Night in Canada, 62. Speaking of hockey, Adam Graves is 54. Ted Ginn Jr. is 37. Brooklyn Decker's 35. Vince Gill is 65. Ed O'Neill, you know him from Married with Children and Modern Family, 76. Andy Garcia, 66. How old do you think Letterman is?
Oh, gosh. 77?
75. The beard is such an awful idea. I can't believe that his wife is okay with that. It's just, it's
He's
hideous.
75. There's not a lot of late make it happen nights
I
anymore
understand,
in the Letterman
but,
household.
but you just, even looking at him, it looks awful.
To you.
Yes. Okay, find 3 people that think that that's a good look.
Well, one's Felipe.
It's a retirement beard.
It's a lot more than that. Claire Danes is 43. Shannon Doherty's
Yes.
51. Jesse James Decker is 34. And that is today was the day.
Big Claire Danes fan. Have been since day one. 2 little omissions. They're both personal. Today in 1976, Bob Seger released the album Live Bullet, first album I ever purchased. And REM released Murmur, their debut album, today in 1983.
Those are 2 good albums right there.
Very big in my world, so I thought I would throw them in.
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
For the good, we go to Houston in what could have been an ugly. But this Houston car dealer, well, he's a badass. Surveillance footage shows 2 men driving up to the business around 5:15. The dealership employee says one of them walked up to him and asked to test drive a car. When the employee walked into his office, the suspect followed him. The employee said he sat in his chair and noticed the man pulling up his shirt, grabbing a gun. That's when the employee grabbed his own gun, and the suspect said no, and took off and ran out of the car dealership.
What did he say?
No.
Just wanted to be sure.
For the best. We go to Texas, where 43-year-old Victor Shavers is in a bit of trouble, facing assault charges after beating up his roommate. See, they had an argument over what mosquitoes looked like. And that's when Victor hit his roommate with a wooden stick and hit him over the head. The victim grabbed a metal baseball bat to defend himself, hitting Shavers several times. Both were hospitalized for their injuries. Shavers was arrested and charged with aggravated assault. Finally, the ugly. We go to Lake County, Florida, where Amber Chapman is not the best babysitter in the world. She was taking care of a 4-year-old child, and when mom got home and noticed the bruises on him, well, they started with some questions. He was brought to the Leesburg Hospital, where the boy repeatedly stated that Miss Amber put him in the dryer with towels, and he spun around.
Are you serious?
100% serious. During the interview, the boy told investigators that Chapman put him in the dryer, closed the drawer, and he went round and round. Then she opened the door, closed it, and spun the boy again. She has been arrested, and she's not a very good person.
That's horrifying.
Did you ever do it as a kid? Did you ever have your friend put you in the dryer?
No, I hid in the dryer in a hide and seek game, and it took a long time for them to find me. And when they found me, getting out for a split second, I meant to balance my butt on the edge,
right,
and not on the dryer door part. And I guess I got too much of my butt on the dryer door and broke the dryer door. And it's really
missed the 45s you broke. You broke the dryer door too.
Yeah, my Aunt Kathy. All right. Yep. It was her house. Yeah, it was in the basement. Yep. Broke the door on her dryer.
That is the good, the bad, and the dryer door ugly. Today, April the 12th, 2022.
And her son, Joseph, because I was going to say, hey, and he goes, no, let me handle it. And he never said I did it until I found out that Joseph got a whooping. And I'm like, what? You took the rap for that?
Joseph's a good friend.
Okay. He was then.
That's a solid dude right there.
Unbelievable. I mean, can't believe you took the beating for that. You didn't even do it.
Brooklyn hosting the Cavs tonight. They're laying 9.5. Do they cover? I think we both think they're going to win.
It's now 9.5.
I've got it at 9.5.
Wow, it was 8.5 at the start of the show. Yeah, I do. Cavs have injuries.
I'm with you. I'll lay the points in this one. And the T-Wolves are a 3.5-point favorite over the Clips.
It's funny. It was 2.5. All right, last night and 3 this morning. So, interesting. T-Wolves have been playing good basketball. All right. And if Kawhi was there with the Clips, well, first they wouldn't be in the play-in, but Paul George is back. No, I'll go T-Wolves at home. Big game for them.
Panthers are hosting the Ducks tonight. They're minus 450 in that one, David.
That's unreal. Tampa Bay's in Dallas. A couple other big hockey games. St. Louis at Boston, and the Rangers hosting Carolina. A regulation win for the Blue Shirts, and they're tied for first.
Rays with a 6:40 start?
Yeah, against the A's.
Against the A's tonight.
And
the Marlins are out west. It's only a 7 o'clock start, though, taking on the Angels.
Yeah, so you'll get the late afternoon, shadows and all that. There are 4 afternoon games in baseball, including Red Sox Tigers at 1.
It's my kind of baseball game right there. Nothing says mid-afternoon nap, kind of like a 1:10 start. Probably can sleep through 2 through 5 and wake up for the last 4 innings. Poll question today, what's the best traditional Easter candy? Jelly beans now holding a slim lead over the hollow chocolate bunny, the Cadbury egg in the mix. Peeps bringing up the rear. Only brought on to the poll question to see if anybody would vote for him.
And I think about a handful of people have. Literally a handful.
And yet you walk into the store and they're everywhere. You can't avoid the Peeps. It's like getting gas at a Costco. It's just a mess, David. They're everywhere.
I would love to see the Cavs win tonight, but the Boston-Cleveland series wouldn't be much of one, while Boston-Brooklyn would be fascinating. Same with the T-Wolves, though. Actually, T-Wolves might have a little something for Memphis. I don't know what Memphis would do with Cat. Miller and Moulton. Thanks for listening. Hump Day edition tomorrow. Where else but right here on the Florida Sports Network?
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with